Hello, hello. We got some sound chat. What's up, what's up? Yay! Guys, how are you? Good morning, everyone. We did it. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check that everything is actually working. Oh, no way we got that too. We are so back, chat. We are so back. Sensei, good morning. The Corben, what's up? Hello from Europe. We are melting. Man, I heard about it. This is insane, dude. Stay safe, okay? Like what's happening right now in Europe, and especially in France, because like I've seen all those temperature, and it look like France has been impacting the most, like especially the west coast of France. It is crazy, dude. The Lumke, what's up? Lomke, sorry. First name, last name, how are you doing? Wahung, FSR4 officially released for RDNA 3 and the same time for Steam Machine. Yes. Salut Galax, coucou Air Max, how is it going? So far so good, what about you? Did you guys buy the new Steam Machine? That's a good question. No, it's a ripoff. We're gonna talk about that today. Salut Vexi. The email not set out yet. I've been checking Reddit, see the other did. What do you mean, Lumki? What do you mean, dude? Oh, I forget to turn on the machine. 1 second, chat. Oh. So listen, here in Canada, it has been actually pretty fresh. We had like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, we had some serious like heat wave, but now it's fine. And yeah, since then it has just been raining. So I won't lie to you, chat, I'm not complaining about it. Not complaining about it at all. So why can I restart there? Wait. Damn. Hey, Vindy Sefai, what's up? Listen, the plan for today is like we're gonna talk about the Steam Machine. We're gonna watch some video. I'm gonna share my thought, okay? Because I watched some of the video. I didn't watch all of them. I did touch base with the Valve team, see if they had one for me, like the Steam Machine, but they had none. I think that regarding the price and everything, maybe their marketing team doesn't want to send too much because they know like commercially it's gonna be a little bit rough. So there is no point of like, you know, sending them to everyone. Like it's not like the Steam Deck, right? So it's not like I had a Steam Deck like about my Steam Deck. But you get the idea, right? Whoa. Sorry about that. It's pretty violent, to say the least. Okay, so let's update this machine. I switch my mouse, chat. Put my old like Logitech Pro. It's working very well. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this wire. I was using this wire mouse because why not? And I have a ton of mouse. So even if I don't play anymore, like seriously, like FPS, I still have those mouse lying around. It's just not smart, just not using them, right? With almost 40 degrees Celsius, it definitively feels not like turning on a 500 watt gaming rig as a good idea. Steam machine would be much more appropriate. Fair, man. Fair. Valve hate us. I don't think they hate us, dude. I think, it's just the market. The market has been crazy those days. And we're gonna talk about that too, because, yeah. Like, what do you expect them to do when every component, like most of the important component, which is like RAM and NVMe drive, are actually going through the roof? So to give you an idea, about, when was it? Maybe 2 years ago? About NVMe drive, 2 terabyte, I think. Or maybe it was 3 years ago. I don't know when was that. Listen, about this drive, and they were like 100 US, something like that. If you want to buy a 2 terabyte today, it's like 400 now. So on a small machine like that, if the price of the NVMe like triple, if the price of the RAM triple, right? You have like 1/3 of the cost, which was multiplied by 2 or 3. So obviously, like, I think they were aiming maybe around like 600, 700, 800, let's say 800. I don't think they were at 800. I think they were more at like 700. 700, it would have been like a bargain. It would have been really good, dude. Now 1,100. You heard about the Valve and Nvidia collab regarding SteamOS? Dude, I've been saying it for the last 6 months, guys, so maybe I didn't say it properly. But like when we are doing the stream and I'm telling you, you know, things are going better with Nvidia, they are working. I'm in the dev Discord and I know like some of the name. Like there is a lot of like Nvidia dev working with the Valve dev, especially on Proton. So when I say to you guys, you know, the ball right now is at Nvidia camp and they were exchanging, like they are literally collaborating. I don't know why it's like a big news for you. Like maybe I didn't express myself correctly. You know, and it's like the fact, like everybody's talking about the fact you can install SteamOS on an AMD machine, but it has been the case for like 2 years. Like everybody's talking about it now. I think the Steam machine kind of like wake up everyone, which was actually sleeping on this matter. But yeah, you could have installed SteamOS on an AMD machine. You could have installed actually on an Nvidia machine too, because you have access to the repo from Arch, and even the repo from Valve, they have the Nvidia driver on them. So I'm like, what is happening? Did I do a bad job explaining what was actually happening, or are people not listening? Or both? Maybe both, dude. But I've seen all those videos and I was like, guys, there is literally nothing new. At least like from my end, like, and what we were all talking about for the last 6 months. There is nothing new. I don't think Valve hate us. It's more that they got in a bad situation and got cornered, but they could also sell the machine in loss, then back money in games sold on Steam. No, they can't do that. Because if they sell at loss, everybody is going to buy the machine, take out the NVMe drive, take out the RAM and sell it back on eBay and make a profit. They just can't do that. This is a PC at the end of the day. It doesn't guarantee that people are going to buy Steam game. It's not a PS5. They can't do that. Everything is expensive right now. Even roof are going through the roof. Bro. Bro, what the heck? I liked it. Salut Saf. I think the price is to be expected. It's just the performance that disappoints me. We're going to talk about that too. I don't blame Valve. I'm disappointed, but I don't blame them. Just look at Xbox and Apple now raising up their price. Sony is not far behind them. Yeah, and you have to think they already increased the price. Listen, Sony already increased the price of the PS5. So if they do another round, oof. My 2070 laptop is on par with it on some games. Yeah. On Linux. I'm happy I did stock up disk and RAM before the crisis. Same. The price in Australia, it's even worse. We are the second worst below Brazil. It's like 2,200 Australian dollar with a controller. Boom. Boom. So Valve say maybe not out this year for SteamOS with Nvidia. Yes. Yeah, like I stay on my bet. I believe in September we're gonna be solid with Nvidia. At least for us. And then the time they put it in the process of SteamOS, it will be end of year. Or maybe beginning of next year. Right? Because the way they work, I don't know if you remember watching my video on SteamOS, okay? But SteamOS, it's an immutable based on Arch. And they have their own repo and they control the whole stack. And really, they are a little bit behind versus Arch because they have to push something really polished. So, yeah, like between 3 and 6 months delay would not surprise me versus us when we're on bleeding edge. So I stay on my bet. September for Nvidia, chat. Nvidia and Linux. Steam Machine woke everyone up because it was the first new device everyone might want. People already had PS5 and Steam Deck and didn't really feel the price changes. Fair. The conclusion is we don't hate Sam Altman enough. Listen, man, this whole story is gonna end at a certain point. I don't know when. It could be now, it could be 2 years from now. But like, this has to stop. And I'm not saying that like from a philosophical point of view. I'm doing it from a analytical point of view. Like, you know, like when you see the value of most of the corporation right now on the market, when you see the pricing going up, when you see the gap between like the middle class and the low class and the higher class just like widening, it's gonna have to stop, dude. It just can't continue like that. It stop or some head are gonna fall on the ground like in 1789 in France. Sorry to say that, guys, but I don't want to get political, but it just doesn't add up. It's gonna have to stop. Salut Newbie Top. They need to promote SteamOS better, but without an installer and an easy configuration QoL feature like wake up on press, could be awesome just to buy a mini PC and install SteamOS. Yes, features about. We're gonna talk about that after, and I will tell you why. Salut Ion Site. Mamma mia, Steam machine too expensive? What will the Steam frame cost? Man, that's a fair point. Not sure about the timeline. Nvidia 610 is causing Kwin crash on game launch. I didn't have any issue with Kwin and 610. What is your hardware? So Peter edits, CacheOS is setting now on Shelly GUI and Shelly CLI, and Paru is not needed anymore? No way. Salut Fernando Muniz. Do you think SteamOS only getting Nvidia support next year means that they will use NVK instead of proprietary, or because of GameScope and IPS? No, it's gonna be proprietary. NVK is not ready, and looking at the pace it's going, I don't think it's gonna be ready for next year. So I think it's gonna be proprietary. But this is a guess. I didn't talk to anyone about that. This is just my guess. Because I've seen the evolution of NVK. It's getting better and better. And now, for example, last week, they announced the support of DLSS on NVK. And we're going to have to try it. But the reality is that the way it grows, it's too slow right now. To be ready in like 6 months or even 1 year. I think it's going to be ready more like in like 2 or 3 years. Maybe they're gonna surprise me, but each time I tried it, there is like incremental improvement, and this I can't say the opposite, but those incremental improvements are so small. So small. It's only a fiasco if you mistakenly believe the next generation console from Sony and Microsoft will be under 4 digits. Nintendo won't even escape the price hikes. Low-end Switch about to be 800 plus. Yeah. So I'm talking about a fiasco because... Okay, it was kind of a clickbait. I don't believe it's a fiasco. I believe that there is a lot of people out there that just did not see the price hike happening. And you know, like us, we are geek and nerd. So we can see right away like there is a big price hike happening. And we saw it, I saw it in September 2025. We are now in June, almost July 2026. Right? So people, they just wake up. They're like, wow, the Steam machine is so expensive. But when they're gonna have to change their phone, when they're gonna have to change their TV, when they're gonna have to change their PC, they're gonna be like, what the heck is going on? Right? Because us, we are following the news. Most of the people, they will wait their PC to die to be like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna get a new PC. And at this point, they're gonna be like, what? By the way, cheers. People wanted the big splash to tip the scales. RAM price stops that, but Linux will still win a bigger market share in the future because it's user first. Salut Telerian, I agree with you. Salut Varisk, by the way. Guys, happy Friday, guys. I'm having my coffee. What's happening? Guys, happy Friday. Cheers, everyone. I shall join you in the computer revolution. Let the CPU roll. Yes. So, a news article that Valve said alongside their general SteamOS release, possibly meaning third-party machine, like they did originally, but Steam Machine 2 will come a lot sooner than we think. Like Steam Machine itself is based on a 4-year-old hardware, right? Yeah, 3 or 4. 3 or 4, I don't know. Salut, it's just Genji. Bubbles pop, market is at .com level of over-evaluation. I know. Even higher than that, dude. Even higher than that. Hey, salut Bastien, how are you doing? I just glanced on the PR, but it's being dropped from net install, so the next release of CachyOS ISO. Wow, interesting, dude. I'm curious about this. I didn't try it yet. I didn't try the Shelly Klee. So let me check that. Like now I'm really curious, dude. Shelly Klee. So do they have a Klee? Let's try it, dude, real quick. So it's already installed. Oh, but they don't have... Oh, dude! Whoa, 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 whoa! That's pretty sweet. I think we are going to see major backlash from the general population as their tech offering gets weaker and more expensive. Yes. Salut Chris Ness. I did some gaming tests with 5070 Ti and 9070 XT and they were on par for the majority of the games. Even with ray tracing? Even if the AI bubble doesn't burst, they are going to cycle hardware in 3 years. Just keep your eye on computer recycler. Yes. This PC is apparently my last PC, lol. Could be, man. I wish it's not the case for you, brother. Never know. The next holidays are going to be a reality check for hardware. Yes. Are you going to watch Friends versus Norway in 5 hours, Max? Yes, I will. Watch! Dude! I got my shirt! I got my shirt, chat. I'm a big supporter of the French team, man. I love football. So... I'm gonna have to stop a little bit early, though. But yeah. Salut Wendes, my first PC was a R5 2600X and a 1060. And I paid that 750 euro. Oof. I think this machine is still solid. 7 years old, brother. Still solid. I was tempted to build a Steam machine with a 580 AMD, with a cheap Office PC, still many games, still run. Yes, we'll talk about that. Hi there, I was hoping to upgrade my 7th gen i7 PC with a GTX 1080, but I still have to do the job for another year or two. Bro. I know, man. Listen, the 1080 is a monster. So, if you're playing like DirectX 11 game, you're good. And you're playing like, you know, not 4K. Like 4K will be like really short. But you just lower the settings, you will be fine, brother. I really don't like Shelly, mostly because it frees my laptop sometime and much slower than cache update or Arch update for whatever reason. Ready? When it doesn't work, at least you can say, Shelly, come on. Man, I don't know about this. Preset with all upgrade, yes. Okay. I'm so used to Paru. The heck was that? Man, they need to do it with a little Pac-Man. Like, it's not going to fly with me. I like they have the news there, where you can read. I don't know, dude. I'm so used to Pac-Man and Paru, like, I don't know, man. For the Steam machine, I hope for some adoption on AMD Halo Strix platform, but apparently not. Sad, but okay. You buy also that piece of software from Valve, which is, in my opinion, compared to other. Yes. That's a real football shirt. I thought it was from AliExpress. It might be from AliExpress, brother. It might be. But my love for the team is still the same. Okay? Like, someone offered it to me. Okay? And I'm not the type of guy who will put like 200 Canadian in a freaking shirt, dude. Okay? I'd rather buy some RAM or NVMe or some game, you know, for my channel, rather than put them into clothes. You are kidding? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you're right on the spot. Yeah, even with ray tracing and Requiem and Omnishua, we have the Sword demo, so Nvidia drivers are getting better and better on Linux. Nice, man. Logic Slayer, what's up? Rebas Revo, what's up? I like the Helium browser, but you get weird vibe due to it showing a inner fingerprint at EFF cover your track. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, you know. I like the way it look. I don't know too much about privacy. Like, I never really dig into that. I mainly use Helium, Brave without all the fuss, and Firefox. What happened with Gentoo? Will Shelly also replace cache update? I don't know. I need to check with Peter. Like, if you want, I can check with him and give you an update. But I heard about Shelly, but I never really tried it. So Hey, salut Robert. I'm looking forward to the match. France is so much better team than Norway, but we have like one punch man and Majin Buu in our team. Yeah, I agree. Man, like the striker is Norway is insane. I don't remember his name. Like the blonde guy, he's solid, dude. So we're gonna have to deal with him. Everything can happen. So looking at the way the tech market is evolving, I think we might be the last generation to have a desktop PC at home. Considering our console price are increasing, I believe that in the future, it could be, man. Like there is really like two ways this whole thing is gonna go. We will never have like compute at home. Everything is gonna be on their data center. And they will own us, dude. Like, whether you like it or not, they will own us. And I will tell you why. If your device is, in general, like, even the device, you are like, I don't care if it's connected, I'm gonna tell you why. Let's say your fridge. I'm not talking about your phone or even about your computer, just your fridge, dude. If your device, your fridge, is actually connected to an AI data center, every glimpse of data that you think is not harmful to you is going to be used against you. Whether you like it or not. So at the time you open your fridge, they're going to know exactly what time you wake up. They're gonna check how much time you grab water, how much time, like everything. Based on that, they can align all their advertising marketing plan on your face. And this is just the freaking refrigerator, dude. Imagine if they have access to your phone, your gaming habits, your research habits, the exchange with the AI. They're gonna know more about you than your freaking mom, dude, or your freaking partner. We are fucked. I'm gonna tell you straight. Like, if this is the case, we are literally fucked. We're gonna be manipulated to the end. And you think you can control it, you don't. You freaking became a sheep. Even the sheep, there are more freedom than us at this level. So, I'm sorry, like, I'm getting really far there. But, like, this is rough. So we don't want that to happen. Even if our, like, computing power is degrading, you still want to do as much as you can. You know, for yourself, right? For your own sake, dude. Privacy is impossible nowadays anyway. Best way not to be seen is to blend in with regular people. I don't agree with that, because the difference with AI is, like, now they can process it way faster. You see, like, even before they could take the data and they was kind of like limited, but now, like, the link between you and the device is gonna be way, like, I don't know, like, tighter. And because all this info, like, now can be, like, analyzed and reanalyzed by AI, which is, and we have to say it, like, becoming smarter and smarter by the day. You know, people forget this part, right? So I agree with the privacy statement, but now it's getting deeper, right? Because the way the data is processed and the link between you and your device become bigger, because most of the processing is doing directly over there. You don't want that. I'm telling you, nobody wants that. Alan, Yeah, this is him, Alan, dude. He's built like a tank. Agreed. You met Alan, then... Vixie, did you met Alan? Out of beer, I haven't had. Yes. Next will be ads in your dream. Google has slowly started implementing face capture verification instead of reCAPTCHA. I'm planning to move all my stuff to Proton. Bro. I need the ad block for my Neuralink. There will be resistance. Yeah, there will be revolution, dude. When people understand that, but I don't know, maybe they like that. Me, I don't like it. Nobody is making any money on this AI stuff. Bubble has to pop. The whole economy is hurting except the 0.1% in their secular Ponzi scheme. Fair. I only sleeping people, so salut Rocketeer. I only sleeping people are a little entitled when it comes to hardware as well. We had it so good for so long, hardware was really cheap. I personally think we all need to do is wait things out. Agree with that. Like right now, at our level, like there is not a lot we can do, right? But I can see some movement maybe happening one day, you know, like people being, like for example, you want this to implode faster? You create a group of people who are willing to put $20 a month on, I don't know, whatever, like AI subscription, right? And then you crush it, dude. You make it worth like, I don't know, 10K on their end. And if we are all doing that, it might accelerate the process. Just a thought, you know? Be like, hey, yeah, I'm willing to pay 20, but on your hand, I'm gonna make you burn like 40K, 20K of freaking like power or whatever. And if we are like million of doing that, it could go fast, right? Like there is a way where they're gonna be put in a position where it just doesn't add up. And we could maybe accelerate the process. It's just a thought, okay? I'm not saying we are doing it. But the model doesn't bring money back. So there is maybe like way where, you know. Yeah. I was reading this article when the guy was saying like your $200 a month from whatever provider could cost them like 15K or 14K. In my head, I was thinking like, dude, just imagine. Imagine if we all put 200, 1 month, 2 months, like I don't know, whatever is gonna cost us, but we put them down. This is maybe my French way of thinking, but I'm like, whoa, enough with this. You know what I mean? Like enough with this. Like I has to stop. I work at a football stadium, I handle the football star at the hotels. So yes, I've met many times. Oh, nice, dude. Okay, I didn't know that, brother. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. We can shitpost them. We can shitpost them into the ground. I don't think they care about shitposting, brother. Like, I think what they care about is only the bottom line. Yeah. So I'm with first name, last name on that. Like, I'm not against AI. I'm just against the way they build AI right now. Right? And the way it impacts us. You know, I was having a discussion with one of my buddy. I was like, you know, with my local system, My local system, I still need to make this video. I didn't have time to do it. It's a beast on its own, but it's nothing compared to those data center. Like it's like nothing. Like it's zero, right? And we were having this discussion now, and he was telling me, he was legitimately, I was telling him like, bro, you know what I can do with this local stuff? It's just insane. Like it's just blowing my mind, right? And he was like, yeah. And then he looked at me and he was like, so if you can do it on your own at your place, why do they need to build this huge data center? Like why? And to be fair, I didn't have an answer from that. Because I'm like, how much compute do we freaking need, dude? Because you see, like, it's something they always put in advance. Like, oh, we need it. We need it. But like, how many people are actually really taking advantage of this hardware? Right? Like, even in our Discord, we have engineer in our Discord, right? And a lot of them are using like a local machine. So I'm like, what the heck is gonna be using that? It doesn't make sense, brother. Like it just, like I don't have an answer from that. The downfall of AI is planting bamboo around AI dense data center. They have sign asking people not to plant them as they costly to remove and they like weeds. So you're telling me that I need to become a gardener if I wanna destroy the AI data center? Like this is so good, man. Back to the root. You don't even have to pay for AI subscription. I have free laptop and I cycle multiple accounts through them. Worst thing is like they could do is ban my account and I could make another one in 2 minutes. This is what you do, dude? Okay, I like the idea. Okay, I'm reading everyone, chat. Scale. We have always had AI since the 1980s, but not at scale. But scale for what, dude? Like, I get the idea, but like what the heck is using this? I don't get it, man. I'm like, because you have to think like those AI data center, they are like 4 times the size of a football or soccer field, whatever you want to call it, and they are building one every 10 meters. So I'm like, sure, you build 10, okay, but like when you build like 200 of them, what is the goal? What who is going to use them? Like this is a serious question. Are they just idling there, doing nothing? Like what are they doing? Like what are they doing? And you have to think like this asset is depreciating like your freaking graphic card was depreciating like 5 years ago. Because I have to say, until now, nothing is depreciating anymore because of the high demand. But the reality is like 5 years from now, those 5090, those like big like server or whatever, they're gonna be trash like everything else, dude. So what's the end game here? You invest like hundreds of billions in this thing, knowing it's gonna be worth like 0 in 3 years, and you are not making money out of it. So how does this end? Like how does this end? Why are you using it? I'm serious. Like I'm really serious. Like how many engineers? Like how many? Like how the heck? How many projects? How many engineers do you need to actually use those freaking like data center to the max and make money out of it? That's a legit question, dude. This is just becoming a cyberpunk plot. Hey, salut Sven, what's up? Nvidia was talking about putting data center on people's house now to tap into the 9% power that is left in the US and not used by the house. I know. They pay some of the power bill for having a data center. Dude, maybe I should apply for that. Imagine, chat. We applied for that, and then we play Cyberpunk on it. I try to get access to the system. Think about it, dude. How cool it would be. And they pay for my electricity too. Maybe this is the end game. Digital currency slavery? Oh no, man. Make hardware expensive so they don't have a choice but to use cloud. I agree, but the delusional market conditions are due for correction. Yeah, I agree with that. There are still a lot of GPU idle in warehouse, no data center, because there is not enough power data center. Yeah, that's true. I've read that too, first name, last name. Like some of those, so those GPUs are being bought. So listen, I watch all those videos, right? And I read some article. So it's funny. So Nvidia would have a company they subsidize, they give money to, right? This is what it means. They give money to this company they own. Then this company do a deal with one of the big tech, let's say X, for example, right? So they put the money there. X is like, hey, I need AI. So the third company buy. So what was the scheme? Like it's the money is just flowing from Nvidia to Nvidia. It's just they are literally giving the money to the third party to buy the GPU. They already subsidize with their own money. They give the GPU to X. X is using it, and like that, they kind of like lock them in their market. The idea is like they are kind of like offering the GPU, but on paper it doesn't look like an offer because they give the money to the corp, right? And this corp is then buying the GPU with their own money. And the third party is just taking advantage of this discount, kind of. So you're looking at this and you're like, what? Like what? Like even when I explain it, doesn't even make sense. But I've seen it, and it makes sense because Nvidia just want to lock up those big tech companies which on paper need the hardware. And so with this system, they kind of like lock them up for 5-10 years. With the Nvidia, hardware, because they know that on the long run it's going to be exactly like Bitcoin, right? At the beginning it was GPU, and then they had like the A6 hardware, which was like more efficient, faster, etc., etc. So now they have obviously like the software layer, but this is gonna disappear like 2 or 3 years from now, and they know it. So they try to lock everybody out, but the real reality is like their number is self-pumped by themselves. And all the third party who are buying the hardware are not making really money out of it. So, I don't know. They are starting expert system. The idea was to share expertise that was only known by maybe 10 people worldwide to everyone. Now they are trying to replace an entire workforce, middle management, data analyst, research, defense, etc. If you have a trillion AI agent working for your country, you are that much stronger, or so the fear-mongering goes. Yeah. And then it becomes a race between countries. That's why everything is backed out by the country. Like this, I understand it. So you're telling me that they're just building this data center just to refine the model overall and get better at what they are doing, knowing that they might not even use it at full scale in the future? I don't. This is just odd, man. Like, it just doesn't make sense financially for me. And to be clear, like I have a financial background, right? I understand the relation between investment and return on investment. But here, because it's like when you look at the AI data center, it's a lost cost. You know, it's like building rail, right? Like the first thing you learn in economy is that there is some business which are just not profitable, right? So one of them is train, right? Because the cost of the infrastructure is so high that it's really, really complicated to make money when you have an infrastructure, I would say like maintenance and creation cost, which is really, really high. So you have the railway, like everything related to train transportation, which is really expensive. And it's a lost cause. You can't make money out of it. It's really hard. You had the problem related to the, you know, the dot-com failing in 1998, I think, or 1999. It was the same problem because they built the fiber network in the US and they invested so hard, but they just lost the money there again because nobody fought. So obviously, like, we're still using fiber right now. It's great. But the way they implemented it was so rushed because they're expecting so much return, but none of those return happened. So it's exactly the same issue here, right? Because when you do the data center, it's just money you threw out of the window. 3 years from now, worth zero. And you have all those costs relating to maintenance, power, and also the fact that the amortization, right? This thing is going to be trashed in 3 to 5 years. So anyway, it's just my 2 cents, dude. Gamer Nexus has a lot of good video on the circular economy. Yes. I agree with you, but at the moment Nvidia is dominating the market. How the market will autocorrect if there is no competitor? Competitors are coming. They are competing for government contract. Fair point, Varisk. The scam going on in the US is what they lobby local government to give them a total tax break for 30 years. Part of this AI push, at least here, is to establish cheap data center, infra, AI or not. So they have like tax break too. It's not supposed to make money yet. They are hoping it will in the future somehow. That's it. All just opium overdose. Yeah, there is that too. We'll see, dude. We'll see. So let's talk about the Steam machine. Sorry, we talk about this freaking AI again. I'm sorry about that, chat. Okay, we'll see about Shelly too. Maybe one day we do a full test of this. I just don't like the way you look in my terminal, chat. I don't see the speed too. It makes me feel weak. You know? I would like to see the little Pac-Man and the speed and be like, yeah, when I upgrade, you know? Anyways. That's my 2 cents. So what is the best video to watch for the Steam machine, chat? We're gonna watch one video. Let's never talk about AI again. We can't, man. Listen, me, I love the AI as an open source thing, like it was at the beginning, you know, when they were talking about it. Man, you know, you buy the hardware, you do it locally. This is so good, dude. Like, you can create your own little script, you can do your own stuff. Like, it gives access to people like me, at least, which is not super good at coding, or like actually really bad. It gave like this world opening, right? But man, the way they are building it is just like Oh, Valve explains their choice. Wait. Are they talking to Pierre-Louis Griffet? When was this released? Oh man, this is good. Do we have like... Man, 1 hour chat. I've seen the Gamer Nexus and Digital Foundry 1. 1.5 speed. Can we do that? Oh yeah, we can. Okay. Wow, I like the packaging, dude. So listen, if for people who don't want to watch the whole video, okay, and you want to know my thought, I'm gonna give you my thoughts right away. Okay, if you don't want to watch, I get it. I think this Steam machine still have a place in the market. I think it's a little bit expensive, but it's not Valve's fault. I hardly think they are making a lot of money on this. They are making like top between 50 and 100 USD max. So I don't think it's that bad, dude. It's just because of the freaking like market thing, and people, they need to be aware of the pricing of hardware those days. So you want to buy 18 terabyte drive, which was like maybe like $200 1 year and a half ago, but now it's like 600, brother. And you can't even find one. 600, 700 bucks. You want to buy a 5090, it was 2,000 bucks. Now it's like 6 grand or 5 grand. You want to buy some RAM, it was 100 bucks before, now it's like 1,200, dude. Like everything went to the roof. This is where we are, like this is the world we're actually living in, dude. So this machine has a place, even if it's not super powerful, and it has a place because it is something that you just plug and play. So the value comes from this, the software and the hardware aligned to the software. That's all. And that's my vision, right? Now, for the same budget, can you buy something stronger? Yes. For the same budget, are you gonna have the same feature? No. And I'm talking, for example, like for me, the big value added is in the CEC. We'll see if they talk about it, but this really like act as a console, and it's really hard to replicate on a normal PC. That's gonna be my takeaway before we watch the video. I didn't watch it. Maybe my mind is gonna change after that, but that will be like the way I see things.
Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested, and today I'm going to be reviewing Valve's Steam Machine. Steam Machine is finally here, and in fact, as we're publishing this video, Valve has not only announced pricing for Steam Machine, which we'll definitely talk about, but also the availability as well. There's a reservation.
So, 1,000... Man, this goes too fast, dude.
For Steam Machine, which we'll definitely talk about.
So $1,050 without the gamepad. That's fine. Me, I would have loved to see it at like $799. It could have been there if we didn't have this freaking like craziness, dude.
But also the availability as well. There's a reservation system in place for people who are interested in pre-ordering one. There'll be a random drawing for that reservation system, and we'll have links and details in the description below. But today I want to talk about the design, the attributes of the Steam Machine, how it's performed in the week and a half that we've had to test it, and where SteamOS as a gaming operating system has come and how far it's come since the first time we were really exposed to it with the Steam Deck. And maybe the Steam Deck is a great place to start because as it was released a couple years ago, we really were uncertain about the viability of Linux and Steam as a gaming
guys, think about the Steam Deck, dude. Think about how crazy it went. He almost doubled. Just think about it. So, what did we expect? We knew it would be 1 grand. End of story. They could have sold an empty version. Yeah, but yeah, they could. Fair point. Maybe in the future.
System compatibility with the Proton compatibility layer, but all that kind of has changed. Steam Deck is very successful, very popular. We love using ours, not only on the go, but also in the home. You can have it plugged into the dock that Valve sells, or a number of third-party docks available. Use it not only as a gaming device, but also as an actual productivity computer in the desktop mode, or...
Salut Heidekin, you can buy a HDMI CAC adapter, it should work. So I've watched it, and most of them, they don't work. So I'm going to talk about that after the video. If you want to watch it, I have a plan for this, okay?
What I do, have it in the living room, plugged into my big screen TV, playing games not only natively with the Steam controller, but also streaming games from my desktop gaming PC in the house. And Valve knows that. A lot of them as well have the Steam Deck plugged in their TVs, and so that gave them reason to design and make a Steam machine. Now, the performance target for the Steam machine, they told us, was kind of entry to mid-level. They wanted to be able to play 4K games, you know, at playable frame rates using upscaling. And a lot of that performance target has informed the components they've chosen, as well as the design of this that they're able to make, because it's a very compact device. That's the first thing. This is a very small machine. You know, nicknamed cube, but it's not a cube. It's a little bit wider than 6 inches, a little deeper, but it's almost 6.
Man, this is so small, dude. Is it centimeter? Guys, 16 centimeter. Some of us, we wish we had 16 centimeter, boys. He looks so small, but so big at the same time, chat. Oh my gosh. Okay, I stopped it. This is inches or centimeter, chat? This is how it performs, not the size. Come on, come on. This look like 16 centimeter to me, huh? Not 16 inches, dude. Like 16 inches, it's another beast, huh, chat? 16 inches, good luck, everyone, dude. Never call anything small again. Okay, I stopped it. Kudzilla is right. This is how it performs, not the size. That's right. It's not small, it's average. It's centimeter. It's smaller than a banana. Yeah, you wish it's smaller than a banana, brother.
Deep, 162 millimeters, but
okay.
Under that 6 inches in height, even with the risers.
So okay, 6 inches.
The feet. It's 152 millimeters in metric. And
so it's pretty small, and
at least my home entertainment
center
and console, and most people's as well. But in
the dude.
That means it does fit into.
Do you remember this?
Entertainment center and console.
This one. Do you remember this, chat? Oh my gosh, what a good souvenir, dude. Those are good souvenirs. Who owned one of those? Oh, that's pretty dope. 16 inches is uncomfortable to hold. I mean, the machine, of course. Sure.
And most people's as well. But in the small form factor gaming PC world, you do the math, and the volume of this is 3.8 liters. That's minuscule.
That's pretty good, man.
Liters is technically considered small form factor. By point of comparison, a mini ITX board is 6.7 inches square, and so the footprint of Steam Machine is already smaller than the footprint of a mini ITX board, to give you a sense of how small this machine is. And it's not just the size of this and the volume of this and where you can put this in the house, but also how Valve designed the cooling around it. Because if you take off the shroud and assemble the machine,
it's okay for the sound.
Most of this is one giant heatsink. Most of the components for the processing is in the bottom.
Wow! Look at this engineering, dude. Look at this engineering piece. This is good. Like, they did a good job, chat. Ignoring the ludicrous price, I will never understand Valve releasing a new product with a 4-year-old internal. Because I believe they were trying to price it really low, dude. That's all. They just tried to price this thing low, and they got like slap in the face with the freaking AI stuff. Like, this thing could have been sold at like $700 or $800. I'm not even kidding.
by one 120mm fan in the back, custom design, and then all that gaming hardware is on the bottom, which means it operates really quietly. Now, to achieve that performance, Valve has once partnered with AMD for their components, and unlike with the Steam Deck, it's not using an APU, shared GPU, CPU memory system here. It's discrete CPU and discrete GPU. CPU is based off of AMD's Zen 4 architecture, 6 cores, 12 threads here, up to 4.8 gigahertz. And that's running.
Give me 1 second, chat. Okay, I'm back. Can you see the screen? I think you should be able to see the screen, right? Like, I think the build is just insane. Like, it looks really nice to me. I love how this PC is built. Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Like, you kind of like buy a piece of art there. Like, it looked really nice, chat.
On 16 gigabytes of DDR5 memory split across 2 sodium laptop modules, essentially. The GPU is more interesting. It's a semi-custom part, Valve says, running off of AMD's RDNA 3 architecture. This is Navi 33. And so with 28 compute units, it's a little bit less powerful than the RX 7600 card that AMD makes. And the TDP here, as we've tested, never went above 110 watts. And so the whole machine kind of...
Wow, this is crazy. Look, we are at 110 watt. 58 FPS in James Bond, dude. It's pretty efficient too, chat. Because, you see, if you put a 9070 XT there, yeah, you're gonna get more FPS, but you're gonna be more at 400 watts, chat. Like 350, 400, depending on the CPU you use. So, you're gonna get like, I don't know, maybe like 40 FPS more. So you're gonna double here, but you're gonna quadruple your consumption. Martin, allez la France! Yes! Allez les bleus! Yes, papa!
Operates CPU GPU at load with all the I/O and everything plugged in it, well under 200 watts. We basically measured it close to like 180, 185 watts at load. Now, with that custom design where it's mostly...
Oh, wait. So
180, 185 watts at load.
Wait, so I didn't understand what happened there. So he's at 110 watts here total. How the heck?
110 watts. And so the whole machine kind of operates CPU GPU at load with all the I/O and everything plugged in it, well under 200 watts. We basically measured it close to like 180, 185 watts.
Okay, 180. Okay. So this makes sense. So now it makes sense. So the 9070 XT, it goes up to 350 watts. You take a low CPU like 9600X, and I'm talking about that, you will see why. Which is 65 watts. So we're at 400. And then you add the rest, you're at 450, dude. 450, 500. So no, it's not. So I made a mistake before. So 450 versus 200. Yeah, your wattage is not bad, chat. The wattage is so it's good, but it's not that crazy either. Steam Machine is hella cute, but there is only one single 16 gigabyte DIMM, so it's running memory on a single channel mode. No. Cypher, is it true? No.
Load. Now, with that custom design where it's mostly heat...
I don't think people care about power draw. Oh yes, they care, man. Especially in Europe. Like, in Europe, I don't know why you are about that stuff, but in Europe, they do care.
Sink, one fan in the back, intake in the front, and
like price of power has been insane in Europe.
Boards near the bottom of the machine. So to achieve that design, as well as the goal of user serviceability and some minor upgradability, you can access the storage as well as the memory. Valve had to make choices and decisions for the I/O, for the input and output for the machine. So you have in the back, you have the power cable, and the power supply is built in at 300.
So he has a GP out too. Huh? So DP, HDMI,
power
power,
inclusive in this volume, but video out
Ethernet, and 3 USB, including
is
one
HDMI
C.
2.0. That's with
Okay.
CDC, so you can use it to actually turn on the TV you have it plugged into. DisplayPort 1.4, which gives it some versatility in plugging things like VR headsets or gaming monitors or even things like display glasses. And then 4 USB-A ports, but it's split between 2 USB
4? I see only 3 there.
3.0 in the front and 2 USB 2.0 A ports in the back, and only 1 USB-C port. And that USB-C port doesn't have DisplayPort Alt, so you can't plug in a monitor.
Oh, maybe there is one in the front.
Okay.
Okay.
There's also Ethernet as well, and then for expandability, a micro SD card in a slot in the front, and that's the same micro SD card slot that you find in the Steam Deck.
Oh, so there is more. There is 4 USB-A and 1 C. So 5 total. No DisplayPort. Yes, there is a DisplayPort, 1.4.
Meaning that these storage that you have, the games that you have stored on your Steam Deck, you can literally take that card out, plug it into the Steam machine, and a library will be recognized in Steam OS. And
That's
plenty
cool.
of wireless radios, so it can connect over Bluetooth for devices like keyboard, mouse, headphones, gamepads, as well as having 2 Wi-Fi radios and 1 dedicated receiver for Steam controllers. You can pair up to 4 Steam controllers.
So one thing, like when I look at it, I think it's really cool, but I can't imagine the dust, man. Like cleaning the dust out of this. Ooh.
Directly to the Steam machine, so you don't have to use the charging dongle, the dongle, and dedicate that to some other gaming PC you have in the house. No microphone or headphone jack, which is an interesting decision. But in taking apart the machine, not only did we see the SSD right at the bottom, it's a 2230 size M.2 SSD here, but you can replace it with a 2280 size longer stick of storage. And if you have a 2 terabyte stick from the before times where things got really expensive, very easy to.
Oh, so you see, you can put the screw here. So Kingston, 2 terabyte. Man, I didn't know they were making those so small, chat. Okay, that's good.
Swap that in. The RAM is accessible, but a little harder to get to. You have to disconnect some of the daughter boards, and in removing those components, I did find that it is very serviceable and accessible. It just torque screws via the bottom and the back to get into the machine, and everything's pretty well labeled, and putting things back together wasn't a problem. Valve is partnering with iFixit again for components, and so as custom and tightly packed as a machine this is, and it really still is very user serviceable, if not fully upgradable.
That's what you said.
Swap out the
Okay, you got me on this one, Chad.
GPU, CPU, or upgrade VRAM.
Okay, you got
There
me.
is some level of customization you can do. So this faceplate, for example, magnetically disconnects, and on the 2 terabyte models of the Steam machine, Valve is also including 2 alternate faceplates. So there's this walnut wood one.
Ooh.
Which will pop on, looks classy in a living room, and then this interesting kind of velvety.
Oh, that's the red from Valve.
The soft deep orange one, which is striking. But I found an interesting choice for Valve to put out as a pack-in alternate faceplate.
It looked good, oh, chat. I like it.
The design for these faceplates will be made available, the CAD design, so people can 3D print and model their own. But there's no access to power or data in the front here if you want to make a faceplate as an external display or have some type of interesting active use other than just like a passive shroud that you put in.
I don't think it's orange.
You
It's
can see in
red.
the front there's also this bar of LED lights. It is RGB LED, and you can in SteamOS adjust what the bar does. So it can be a solid color, it can be a breathing, pulsing light, a patrol light that goes back and forth. You can adjust things like brightness and the speed at which it animates, but there's no plugin system in place for it to tap into system information. It does work as a kind of status indicator for downloads, so you can see it if you're downloading in SteamOS. That's a really cool feature to see your downloads, how far it's progressing. But I would love people to tap into other things, things like fan speed or power consumption, or even something in a desktop application. But we'll leave that to third-party software modders and developers to potentially tap into.
Yeah, Lomki, I agree. That's a good
I did
point.
want to ask Valve about their choice of hardware, how they achieved this specific design and form factor. So before we get to performance, let's jump to an interview I did with Valve's design and hardware.
Okay, so let's see what they have to say, okay? I think this is going to be really interesting.
Steam machine.
What? He's playing Forza Horizon 5? At 60 FPS? Boo!
Well, it's been a little over half a year since I got to visit and check out Steam Machine, this iteration of Steam Machine for the first time. But for you guys, it's been, I imagine, a multi-year journey. Can you remind the viewers out there, when you guys started this project and what the goals were, and back then, computer and gaming industry being and hardware business being a little bit different, what you anticipated and hoped for Steam Machine?
Yeah, for sure. When we started, after Steam Deck OLED, we had a lot of the elements
Okay, so this is Pierre-Loup Griffet.
that make today's Steam Machine experience, right? And it was pretty clear that it was, with the dock and folks were already having that living room experience with the deck. It was pretty clear that it was something that we could do as a next step, right? So we started building a bunch of computers from parts to try and just get an idea of what it would be like to have an experience in the living room that has a little bit more horsepower to work with, so that you can play games at high resolution, and make use of all those kind of advanced technologies with VRR, ray tracing, and all that stuff. And so it took us a little bit of that before we got to a performance target that we liked, that we thought could play all the games on Steam with a good experience, and then we worked from there into making it into a smaller form factor. I'd say that the development cycle was probably 3 years for like the prototyping aspect of it, and then to turn it into a product and then start building the thing that now as Steam Machine. That's probably been like the last year and a half or so.
So 3 years ago, you're looking at performance targets, you're looking at...
So now you understand, like, when they lock out the hardware, it was 3 years ago, right? I think they just use the base when they start to lock all the spec, right?
Form factors, those things have to intersect at some point. What do you know back then about what type of hardware will be available? Like, when do you start having to commit to not just performance, but components, and working with your partners to make sure things like the GPU and CPU are going to be available at the quantities and prices that you want at that point?
Yeah, definitely at this early stage, you're not really thinking about that aspect of it, right? It's more about you're looking at the performance and the experience, trying to work back from what the user will experience. So it's more like, the maybe 2 years ago, year and a half mark, where we're starting to be like, okay, we got to establish those, supply relationships, make sure you have, the multiple suppliers for everything, for memory and stuff. But at that point, you're probably, I mean, one thing that we had in mind from the beginning from Steam Machine is we wanted to be able to build it from parts that already exist for PC, as opposed to doing something custom that has a longer lead time, right? And so it's a decision we made pretty early on, and at that, there's not that many offerings that are in the performance target that we're looking at, and so then we started looking at price to try and see what generation we should be targeting and all that.
One of the interesting aspects of this being a small form factor PC is that you guys didn't choose to go with like an APU. You guys decided to go with CPU and discrete GPU. Can you talk about that choice and how you chose those separate components, both from AMD?
Yeah, so that was actually pretty straightforward, because an APU is actually the natural choice, right, for a product like that, a system like that, because you can be a little bit more efficient with things like power usage, but also importantly like thermals, right, and you're just a little bit more efficient there. But we looked at what was in the market in terms of APUs, and you had all the laptops platforms, right, the AMD APUs that you're familiar with, and then the horizon you had things like Strix Halo. But when we looked at that, Strix Halo is kind of at the performance target that we were looking at, but it would have been a much more expensive platform for the same performance.
Yeah, because this is a problem, right? Because they have to think about what is efficient on one hand, but also how much it's going to cost. So I know right now, like, everybody is still like, that's why I put Fiasco, but it's not a real Fiasco. The real issue is related to pricing since the beginning. So I think their approach was right. It's just like the context changed everything, like always.
And so it was pretty early on that we concluded, okay, we have to use discrete parts, and then found something at that performance target as well.
Is it true that the CPU that you've chosen is a version of AMD's APU that you've just only decided to use the CPU core parts for?
Well, I guess that's, I think, down to AMD's internal management of SKUs and all that. So I don't know exactly how they consider it internally, but yeah, my understanding is it's what they call a mobile platform. But at the end of the day, we looked at face value with like how many cores do we get, what clocks they can they can achieve and sustain, and what is the performance that we're looking for. It has always been the case that, especially compared to offerings on the market that are trying to be more all-rounders, productivity PCs, that for something that's gaming focused, we always like the ratio between CPU and GPU, I think for a pure gaming oriented system is going to be a little bit different than something that you're getting for the mainstream. And so we wanted to make sure that we weren't overbuying on the CPU side, so that there's still good value there, which I think has driven our choice of CPU platform.
Yeah. So this is really important, right, too? Because when you look at the CPU intent, when you just game, CPU is not that important. So you're going to tell me like, whoa, but you are using a 9800 X3G, whatever. But the higher the resolution, the less important you become, because all the work rely on the GPU at the end of the day. So there is some specific aspects, especially with like upscaling, where you get benefit from the CPU itself, but it's not that big. So the point is, I agree with him like so far, right? I agree with him. Strix Halo is not the same performance. My framework desktop runs circle around this Steam machine at less power usage, but of course it's more expensive. But what about the GPU, dude? What about the APU? Like, can it really deliver as much as... Let me rephrase that. It's really the ratio between price performance, right? So maybe like certainly it's delivering better result, but if you look at the price ratio performance, like this machine would have been like maybe $2,000, right? I don't know. So 25%, right? So 25% faster, but how much does it cost right now? Right? Or maybe how much was the Strixalo costing at the time of release, etc., etc., right? The GPU of a Strixalo IPU is at 4060 level. So 1300 with no storage. Yeah. So 1 terabyte right now is like, if you look at the what they discuss is like 100 US. Like what they have in the machine, like the NVMe, it's 100 US. So it would have been like 300 more for 25% difference. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you're right, guys. Maybe they should have gone this way. I don't know. But it priced them out of a lot of things, right? Because now, like, 1,000 is rough, but 1,300?
How did you guys end up at 8 gigabytes of VRAM as the target or the sweet spot for this machine?
It's a little bit similar, just based on testing, right? I think it was a decision that we took very seriously because we were extremely aware that 8 gigabytes was kind of, like that specs were getting increased there, and that newer GPUs had bigger amounts. But when we looked at the amount of GPU horsepower that we had to work with and the experience that you would get realistically with that, it seemed to us, and I think this calculus still works today from what we've seen, but for the settings and the level, the resolution, the settings you would want to play at, the 8 gigabyte VRAM is actually a good amount for that. There are areas, like you can make it run out of VRAM, but usually it's by setting things that would not actually be a good experience, even if you had more VRAM, just on the
Yeah, so I agree with that too, dude.
the baseline performance, right? And so that was our conclusion. Again, it's driven back from trying to deliver the best value, like 12 gigabyte, 16 gigabyte VRAM, especially in today's world. But even back then, when we're looking at the price of components, back then it would still have been a significant bump on the price. We didn't think it made sense with where we were trying to position the CPU and GPU power.
Do you also factor in what gamers are playing, not only in their living rooms, but on desktops, and the type of AAA games and what engines require at 2.5K or 4K resolutions?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at all that, but I think we approach it pretty holistically, like the whole Steam library, right? If anything, I would say that the difference there on games that people might play more primarily on mouse keyboard desktop configurations are actually not. They don't tend to be as demanding. Like the online games that you're gonna definitely want to play on your desktop versus a platform like that, I would think they actually tend to scale a little bit better, right? So I don't think the picture was terribly different performance-wise there on living room versus desktop.
Can you share more insights into the cooling design? Because one of the things I've noticed as I've been using it is just how quiet it is. Not only is it this compact form factor that fits in the entertainment center, but I can barely hear it. I know when we first saw it and have taken it apart, it seems to be a very robust cooling system.
I mean, the majority of the volume of the product is the heatsink, the thermal module, right? We arrived at that design through working back from what we wanted in terms of like the noise level.
This is looking good. That's a nice little machine, right?
Module, cool all these different components that have different elevations on the board, like interfacing it efficiently with everything is actually pretty challenging engineering wise. So the natural approach would have been to have a couple of smaller thermal modules with smaller fans, but we found that being able to combine everything gives us more headroom, which then means that we don't have to cool as much. But more importantly, if you can put a 120 millimeter fan on it, you don't have to. I mean, it's something that every person building a PC knows very well, right? The bigger the fan, the less noise you're going to have. And so we were pretty excited to be able to find a form factor that accommodated the 120 fan as its sole cooling solution, because it achieves the very quiet result that you're experiencing now.
And I know that there was a lot of iteration and testing that led to that system as it is now, like the intake from the bottom, vent out the back, but even the front plate, like that's an intake as well. And just like fan placement led to different qualities of sound, but also different qualities of like how much it can actually cool things. So I know that there were a lot of different versions with fans with the fan in different places, and given the small form factor, there's not very many places you can put it where it would make sense. So we're really happy with how it ended up.
Is it a relatively off-the-shelf actual fan, or is even the blade design something that went through your design process?
I think we customized pretty much every aspect of it, working closely with the vendor.
Pretty sad that they made all those sacrifices for the price, but all their work was ruined by the RAM. Yeah, I agree. But it's going to run 2D game great in 4K. In my opinion, it does everything need to be ready for. Not everything needs to be ready for Crimson Desert. There is so many games on Steam backlog. Yeah, I think this is the target, anyways. If you want to play Crimson Desert at 4K, even with the 5090 on Linux, you are struggling. So, like, this is unrealistic. I think there is a lot of people who are like just thinking what it could have been, but the truth is, man, yeah. if you want to throw some US dollar on it, could have been something else for sure. Hey, hello, Commander Bolt. Happy Friday, dude.
Most of the customization is probably on the interface between the fan and the rest, like the connection point, the hood between the thermal module and the fan. But my understanding is everything down to the attack angle of the blades and everything was tweaked.
You mentioned intake, right? So I noticed that it takes intake from the bottom as well as from the front. I know people are probably going to mod these, and it's kind of made to be customized and personalized with different faceplates.
This
What's your
looks
best
good,
advice for people adding accessories
this
to
looks
make
really
sure
good.
that you're still maintaining that good intake?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we will want to remind people is don't put it on carpet. Just like customization aside, carpet is not a good place for this to be sitting on when you're using it. When we release CAD files for the faceplate design, we'll include that with some best practices for make sure there's enough gap and make sure here's where you put the magnet so that you can place it here without it rocking. But yeah, I think basically don't block any of the intake.
Yeah, which is very much in line with what we had said for Steam Deck as well. We had some zones that were like, hey, don't cover this part if you don't want to impact thermal performance.
Back when I visited, I think your engineers were talking about how you're still tuning the TDP for the GPU, and I see now it's kind of locked into 110 watt as maximum. Is that adjustable at all? I know on Steam Deck there's a manual GPU clock slider, but what's the overclocking potential, and is there headroom to clock this higher?
I'm not sure there's that much headroom. I think we pretty much want to set it to. That being said, I'm not entirely certain on the number there, so I don't know if the number you said is what we're actually running the GPU at. I would have to confirm that, but in general, I think we want to make sure everyone has the best performance that they can out of the box. So if there was performance left on the table, we would have because there's definitely there's no shortage of like cooling ability, right? The thermal module can handle a bit more. That's why it's so quiet when it's at load, because there's actually headroom there. And so I think the GPU itself, from the power rails perspective, the power supply is being driven at pretty much the max wattage that it can do. For Steam Deck, I think there's a lot of value in those kinds of fine-grained controls to be able to tune things like power management and get to the best battery life. Mm-hmm. But on Steam Machine, there's less reason to want to do that. So we're optimizing for performance for the most part.
In the time that since we first saw it, and now I'm sure you're iterating on SteamOS. I know SteamOS 3 has been out. Can you talk about the journey of SteamOS from kind of getting it to a good place on deck to what you need to do to make it work for Steam Machine and other potential computers that you were building?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think even with Deck, back then, I think the SteamOS experience very similar to what you're seeing now with the machine. But there was a point after Deck release where we had a bunch of work that was focused on improving the docked experience, right? And some of that work went into the dock itself. We did firmware updates and all that, but a bunch of that work was in SteamOS, right? And so a bunch of the work around controlling external resolution displays, adding good VR.
This is part here. Enable remote control input. Resume from sleep when turning on the TV. Sleep when turning off the TV. You see all those options? Like setting that up on a PC, I can't imagine how hard it's going to be, even with an adapter.
R support, and then later on, there's a few things that we needed to work on that were not Deck applicable. Things like teaching our graphics driver and kernel to do better management of discrete GPU VRAM, right? Like maybe being able to migrate allocations in a way that's optimal, but also doing things like tuning and optimizing ray tracing performance. As it's not a feature that tends to get used a ton on the Steam Deck. So we went through a bunch of that work that is not only applicable to a bunch of computers, but also Steam Machine.
Hey guys.
And they did a good job there too. I don't know if you watched, but like for the last 6 months, for all the user of RDNA card, you got a pretty good bump on ray tracing, chat. So this work kind of like helped what is happening, right? Like for us gamer on PC in the Linux world. So it's pretty good. Vanisila, thank you very much, and welcome back to La Crème de la Crème Club. Thank you for the 14 months, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, dude. By the way, if you have a Prime sub sleeping out there, and you want to see Jeff Bezos on the screen, because he's gonna pay, dude, for La Crème de la Crème Club, and not you, I would be great. That's all I have to say. Or if you like the show and you want to help on Patreon, thank you very much, guys. Are you going to check out SteamOS or no? I already did it. There is nothing new for me. At least right now. Spend Bezos money so he doesn't get it? Yes.
and I think and a bunch of UI polish as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot, like Phil was saying, a lot of the stuff that we had put in place for Steam Deck for the dock experience, just translated directly to Steam machines. Like, what does it look like to use, and how do you use Steam OS and Steam with a gamepad on a big screen? And did you already mention CEC and things like that?
Right. Yeah. CC. We had some support for it on the dock, but we improved that quite a bit for machine as well.
Yeah, but like all of the stuff that we've been working on in the intervening time is not only improving the interface for Steam Machine, but also all docked Steam Decks or big picture mode that is running on a big screen. So it's a lot of many birds with one stone every time we make any of these updates.
Yeah,
and I know SteamOS now supports other vendors incorporating it and having it either pre-installed or users installing it. What's the state of SteamOS for people who want to build their own gaming PCs? And
so this is the thing. I think it didn't change. You don't have still an installer. You just like flush it on your SSD, NVMe, hard drive, whatever. But it's not like a normal, like, Calamares type of experience. So let's see if they actually update that. I don't think they did.
With availability of hardware that's out there right now.
I think that if you want to build something that's going to be used like a Steam Machine, right, where especially in a living room environment, that SteamOS is starting to be a pretty good fit now in terms of both the compatibility and also just experience that you get, because it's very much in line with what you will get with Steam Machine, minus a few points that are related to more of the hardware integration, like CC support and the dedicated Bluetooth antenna and all that, right? But for stuff that you can build yourself, pretty much anything right now with a discrete AMD GPU would be a very good fit, right? So you can make your own Steam Machine at different perf targets. You can make one that's less performant. You can make one that's has 4 times the GPU power if you want. So the compatibility has increased a lot. We support all the latest desktop platforms in terms of CPU side. We're working hard on supporting Intel and Nvidia GPUs as well, and that's been improving rapidly. But it's still a work in progress. So I think as soon as we think that there's a good experience there, we'll make sure to let people know. But so we've also done a little bit of work on the installation and all that. So previously we had the deck recovery image, but now it's more of a generic imager, right, that you can put on USB media. So if you're building something that's like a Steam Machine, where it's a gaming PC that's going to be used with a controller that you put under your TV, you get an SSD in, you install SteamOS, and then you're good to go. You pretty much have your own Steam Machine. But just like the Steam Machine can be used on desktop, if you want a desktop experience comparable to that, then that will work as well, just in the same way. And in the future, we want to expand on the desktop side, of course.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about support for Intel and Nvidia specifically, a lot of users are.
Lomke, thank you very much. You are now a proud member of La Crème de la Crème Club. Let's go! Thank you, dude. You like the animation? I like it too, dude.
Curious about that. What are the technical or challenges in general of getting that support? Is it the difference between how much they want to give up, or how much control you guys want to have for driver packages, or what are the bottlenecks there?
I don't think it's much about control. In fact, the Linux graphics driver stack is such that everyone is working in the same code base, right? And so, I mean, in the past there were vendor drivers where it's the same model as Windows, where you would get a redistributable installer from the vendor or something that's packaged by the distribution. But these days, everyone's moving to the same model that we use on AMD, which is all the drivers are part of Mesa, and everyone's working in the same open source code base, right?
Oh, dude. So what he's saying is like he doesn't want the Nvidia driver to be pushed by Nvidia. So if they are waiting for NVK, it's going to be way longer than that.
Making sure they're just as good as possible. It's a little bit of a different situation for everyone. For Intel, the reality of the situation is that the hardware on the Intel side has progressed rapidly in the last few years, right? To the point where it's now very relevant to be able to play the latest games on Intel, but didn't really used to be. And because of that, the driver support was lagging behind a little bit, especially on the Linux side compared to Windows. And so I think there's a little bit of catch-up work to do, but we're working on it closely with Intel engineers that are working within that Mesa code base. And I think even just between now and the last 6 months, there's a ton of games that were DX12 that didn't used to work very well.
So do we have like someone in the chat running an Intel card? I know Mirko had one and he was not super happy about it. But I'm curious to see, like I'm curious to hear about the improvements themselves, to see where you actually land now.
Now they run. The performance gap is being closed up, so all that stuff is following its course there, and we're pretty excited about where it's going, because the Intel hardware is progressing rapidly in quality as well. For Nvidia, it's a little bit of the same thing. The concept of using the Mesa driver for Nvidia is a little bit more new, right? Compared to like the vendor model there was a little bit longer in the tooth, but in general, everything's moving that direction. And we have actually a team of dedicated engineers as part of our open source group that is working on expanding that. So it's the same thing. As soon as the performance is close to what we think users will expect from their hardware, then we'll be happy to call it beta and then start from there.
So you see, they don't want to push. Man, I was wrong. They don't want to push the Nvidia driver like proprietary one. Oh, it's gonna be so long, chat. I believe in them because I've seen the increase in terms of performance. I've seen the work being done. Like it's like pretty insane. But it's gonna be so long, chat. So I guess they don't want to rely on Nvidia. I mean, they don't want to wait on Nvidia to fix things. Whoa. The more Prime sub Max get, the more P-break Amazon employee get. Man. So in other words, never? No, don't say never. Like the NVK, when I tried them, like when they were released and like a little bit more solid than what they were before. When they transitioned between Nouveau and NVK, the performance was like 15 to 30% of what the proprietary driver were. And now we're more at like 50, 60%, dude. So it has been like what, like 2 years? So in 2 years, they reduce the gap. So there is incremental, right? Improvement. Question is, how long is it going to be until we reach 100%? Give maybe NVK a year or two. Yeah, it's going to be 2 years. It won't be next year, dude. Or maybe I'm not aware of what's going on, but the other issue is related to DLSS. I thought they will not be able to implement it, but last week they announced that you can actually activate DLSS on NVK now. Maybe this is something we could try to see where we land with this. That could be a good testing chat for next week. Since there won't be any more Nvidia consumer GPU anyway, the OpenStack driver has a fixed target for development problem solved. You won't have Nvidia consumer GPU anyway? I don't agree with that, man. When you see Nvidia is re-releasing the 3060, they're gonna still push their best seller, and that's all. I don't think people are gonna give up on Nvidia, dude.
When you guys unveiled Steam Machine, you also unveiled Steam Frame and a lot.
So I'm in the dev Discord with those guys, especially like Pierre-Louis, sorry, with Pierre-Louis. And the people are mainly working on the proprietary driver right now, like at least on this Discord. I've seen some NVK stuff, but it's not. Yeah. It's mainly the proprietary driver right now. Especially when you think about descriptor heap, it's all about the Nvidia like proprietary driver. That's why I'm like surprised by this.
People in their minds feel like they would be a nice pairing, especially for playing flat screen games in a headset. How do you think of Steam Machine and its support for full PC VR games? I can use Steam Link and run something like Half-Life Alyx and stream it, but what about support for tethered VR experiences? And is that going to be improved?
Yeah, it's something that we're working on. Yeah. I think, right now our focus is on Frame, right, to make sure that's a great source for streaming content to the Frame. But Steam VR has supported Linux for pretty much for a while, and so I think there's some fixing and polishing that we can do to make sure the Vive and Index are working fine there, and that people can also do things like streaming to Quest and all that. There's a lot of moving targets there, and it's all on our list. We want to make sure that's all supported. It's I would say maybe it's a little bit farther on the list, and making sure Frame is going to be great for streaming.
Just looking at the evolution of your approach to hardware, going from the very first versions of Steam Machine and even Steam Controller. Back when there was also the Steam Link device, right? Is it fair to say that approach of a streaming dedicated box, it's just the app now sufficient for that, and it's not part of the thinking for hardware?
Yeah, the link hardware has basically just become an app, and it's available on many app stores now. Right?
Yeah,
it's on.
Yeah, I think the conclusion back then was that the ecosystem of peripherals or of the devices where you could put an app did not have powerful enough SoCs to do the kind of high definition, high bandwidth, and low latency decode that you needed for Steam Link. So the device made sense. But then in the next few years, the hardware caught up, and even the smallest phones or the smart TVs had enough to, and that use case was becoming more prevalent. So it made sense to transition to software only.
Yeah.
These days we have devices. The Steam Deck is a great streaming target as well, right? Steam Deck OLED, if you're streaming, you can get 10 hours battery life. It's solid for that, and we're pretty happy how Steam Frame and Steam Deck will be great streaming targets from a machine. Likewise, machine might be a good streaming target from a monster gaming PC. Like,
Yeah.
it goes both ways, really.
I want to wrap up with just talk about the cost of hardware these days and things that maybe no one was expecting, or you guys were just looking into the horizon back then. And just work on this.
The subject, chat. The
memory and
subject.
storage is very expensive. Is there a consideration of putting out hardware where you let the users bring their own, memory and storage, or is the working out of the box experience really that important for you guys?
Yeah, it did came up.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, there's an inherent tension between the goals of something like Steam Machine and a bare bones PC kit, because part of the goal is removing the stress from figuring out what you need to buy, right? And how to set it up and all that. And so, I mean, it's one of the goals, not the only goal, but it's there. So shipping something that requires you to bring your own parts would be a little bit difficult with that, but we've definitely thought about it. We even play tested the process of like, what would it be to get something that's not populated with system memory or with storage, and the difficulty levels of doing those various installations, right? The storage is extremely easy to get at, but the memory had some signal integrity constraints that required us to put it above the main board and not below. And so it's a little bit of like the procedure needed to unseat the thermal module, make sure all the flexes and the antennas, go back. I guess I would say it's closer to working on a laptop than working on a desktop PC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's the reason why maybe someone was saying like they should have sell it without memory and storage, right? But you can tell right away that there is a difficulty with the memory. And I don't know if you ever work on a laptop. Switching part on a laptop, if they are not well, like, I would say, like, built, it can be problematic, chat. So I agree with him too.
And we thought that was maybe a little bit too hard for some users. There's also a lot of production constraints. Like, it's not clear how we would actually make the thing without memory in it, because we need memory to test it.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
oh, so they would have to test it with memory and then remove the memory, dude. So that's the reason why too. Because this is the type of like detail us as user and consumer we don't see it, right? It's really interesting. Like I love those interview chat.
now you're building it and you're taking it apart. We looked at it from many different angles and it didn't quite make sense. We might still come out with something like that, or it might be the case that you can buy all the parts from iFixit and build your own. Like we're still trying to think about.
Oh, that would be great too. You buy all your parts from iFixit and then you build your own chat.
How to approach that. But right now it's a little challenging too, because the main board has the VRAM is soldered down, right? So it's not dim. So you can't bring your own VRAM, and so you would still have to. You'd still like it's complicated.
Yeah, yeah, it's not.
Man, this is the best screen ever. You can see it's complicated, chat. Can see this? It is complicated, dude.
Yeah, it's not straightforward.
The work continues.
Yeah, that's where that's where we're not at the relief point quite yet, but soon.
Well, thank you both for your time. Yeah, it's been really interesting, enlightening, and good luck. Good luck getting these out there to users.
So let's talk about performance on Steam Machine. And what's interesting is AMD's components that they've chosen here, at least the comparable discrete components that you can buy, like the RX 7600, performance there is kind of a known quantity. They're really good entry mid-range parts where you can be assured that 1080p performance is no problem. And in fact, SteamOS by default will run games at 1080 on the Steam Machine. You can go into on a per game level or system-wide level to say the default resolution can be bumped up to native resolution, but it's something that you kind of have to dig into. So whether you have it plugged into an ultra-wide monitor or a 4K TV, by default it's going to output and try to perform at 1920 by 1080. And at 1920 by 1080, I was able to max out basically all my settings in any game I threw at this. High settings, ultra settings, with FSR upscaling turned off. Didn't need frame gen, didn't need FSR turned on, and was able to get well above 60 frames per second in every game I played, achieving.
Wow, I'm sorry guys, but like even 1080p for this type of game, and he's at 90 FPS.
Up to 80 and 90 frames per second.
So wait, what am I? Oh, so it's a refresh rate. 91 FPS. Okay, yeah.
With FSR turned on, no problems there.
Man, it's not bad, oh, chat.
Where you start having to choose in the performance settings and
Like for what it is, right?
whether you want to use upscaling is when you move into 1440 and 4K resolutions. And so did a bunch of testing at 2560 by 1440, as well as on a ultra wide, so 3440 by 1440, similar number of pixels. And in those settings, you could still play at high graphic settings. Maybe not the ultra graphic settings you used to, but in games like older games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Cyberpunk 2077, Doom the Dark Ages, or even modern games like the James Bond First Light game or Forza 6, I was able to max out high graphics settings, ray tracing turned off most of the time, and with FSR on, was able to get well into 60 frames per second on average.
Whoa! It's not bad for what it is. It's the price that is bad. But listen, dude, everything went up in price. I think people, they just don't realize it. Like, even if they cut 100 or 200 on this, it's still expensive, dude. Right? So I don't know. I think it has a place, chat. And I'm not defending it because, you know, I like Valve or whatever. I don't really care. I think it has a place.
You're really going to get about 40 to 60 frames per second if you have FSR turned off at 1440p, but FSR turned on, 60 FPS becomes no problem. At 4K resolution, here's where upscaling FSR is really needed and where you really have to make choices about the features in the games you want to turn on and off. Because at that resolution and choosing things like high-res textures, you're going to run into the limits of not only the CUs, but also the VRAM, the 8 gigabytes of VRAM here. And most modern games, as you tune the settings, you can actually see a slider in a bar for how much memory is being consumed. And with a new update in SteamOS that actually just came out as we're recording this, Valve has improved the memory management to better allocate memory between VRAM and DDR5 RAM when you're exceeding the 8 gigabytes, something they didn't have to worry about when they were designing for the APU of.
Like, there is no way this thing is running thing at 4K. You see, it's at 45 FPS. Like, this is crazy, dude. I think people don't realize like what 4K is.
The Steam Deck.
Like, this is huge.
That at 4K resolution, I had mostly my graphics on medium settings, ray tracing off, and with FSR turned on, was getting in the 50 to 60 frames per second, which I still found was pretty impressive. But with FSR turned off,
you can play like it doesn't make sense to me. You think like a 9070 XT is not even a 4K card, and you expect this, which is almost the price of a 9070 XT, to perform the same. Like, I don't know, man. Like, what people were expecting, I don't understand, chat.
was dipping down in the 20 and 30 frames per second. Not very playable for even games like Cyberpunk 2077, which is already a couple of years old now. And the use of AMD's FSR upscaling becomes an interesting choice for gamers because compared to Nvidia's
go for 24 FPS and the cinematic experience.
FSR, in at least for RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 graphics cards, that's FSR 2 and 3, really hasn't shown the same level of consistent image quality as DLSS. It's more prone to visual artifacts as you tune between performance and image quality. Something we were not able to test and it did recently get announced is AMD said that RDNA 3 graphics cards, so like the one in Steam Machine, will get support in the coming months. I think they said July for SFR 4. And in what people have used and tested of FSR 4 for RDNA 4 GPUs, the image quality is much better at the same performance benefit. We don't know what that's going to look like until we can actually run that on Steam Machine, and Valve can only say that support is coming and coming soon. But I think they did, right? Turning on FSR less of a decision you'll want to be making and just a no-brainer. You'll just want that performance benefit of the upscaling and not to worry about image artifacts. And to be honest, the image artifacts compared to what you see on like a game console, PS5, and the upscaling it does there is pretty standard. I mean, it may not be the perfect pixels and what you're used to on a high-end gaming PC, but upscaling is a part of most game engines now to some extent, and it's part of how game consoles have been able to maintain 30 or 60 FPS when running on 4K TVs for the longest time. So this has basically that kind of image quality parity with something like a PS5 or a PS5 Pro. And in many ways, the Steam Machine operates like a console more than a gaming PC. And SteamOS as your user interface, I think, still kind of walks that line between desktop OS UI and game console UI, but it's fully navigatable with a gamepad. And you can have things like it automatically going to sleep, and the power consumption drops from 50 to 60 watts at idle to under 1 watt when it's in sleep mode, with nice features like the ability to make sure it's still down.
Dude, there is a big hand here, chat. I don't know where he's recording,
downloading content.
There is a big hand, dude.
In the background before.
Did you see it?
Fully goes to sleep. These are all very console-like features. One thing I wish the Steam Machine had was a handle, and maybe it's a byproduct of me wanting to test it in different environments in this past week and a half.
I think we covered what I wanted to see.
Living room to my office to even trying it in different places around. Already a big beefy gaming PC. You can stream games to it, and it can stream games to devices. And you can plug in display glasses, which run at 1080, can run any game basically in the Steam library. But I was also interested in seeing how it works streaming to VR headsets. And we don't have Steam Frame quite yet, but the comparable equivalent would be something like a Quest 3, and Steam Link works great on the Quest as well as the Apple Vision Pro. And so you can stream flat screen games to those devices, to VR devices, having a virtual giant monitor, which has worked well with other devices. But here, running those at 1440p
look like the price at best case scenario, pre-ramming, would have been around 300 cheaper. Yeah, I agree. It would have been between 700 and 800. At 800, this is a banger, chat. And I think people are just... I put fiasco, but it's not a fiasco, dude. It's just a RAM fiasco. That's what it is, chat.
work, but very clearly not a machine made for plugging VR heads directly into it. So let's talk about pricing. There are four models of the Steam Machine that you can buy, and it starts at over $1,000. $1,049 for the 512 gigabyte model.
I'm just curious to see what he has to say.
$1,349 for the 2 terabyte model, which while that seems like a lot, I think you'll be hard pressed to find a 2 terabyte SSD for much less than that. And the 2 terabyte Steam Machine does come with the 2 additional faceplates. And then the 2 other SKUs are the versions of those Steam Machines with a bundled Steam controller, which is the version I would recommend if you're really in the market for this. The Steam controller add-on for that ends up being...
Like, I think they make between like 50 and 100 US on each machine max. They don't make that much, dude.
$79, which is $20 cheaper than the Steam controller by itself, and availability of Steam controller is already pretty limited. I think people who made a reservation to buy theirs recently in these past couple of weeks might not get their Steam controller till the end of the year or even early 2027. That's how in demand they are. And Valve expects demand and availability of Steam machines to be pretty limited as well, as components are harder and harder to source and more expensive. And so the reservation system they're launching today is going to be for a lottery that's going to be on Thursday to create the order queue for people to order a Steam machine. All that to say that it's really early for this box, even though it is older hardware and something that Valve's been working on for years. And even in SteamOS, I can see the updates coming pretty frequently over this past week and a half. There are things that we still don't know, we're still yet to test, and we're curious about, like image quality of FSR upscaling on RDNA 3 here, as well as optimizations to ray tracing that Valve has just recently dropped, and things like better RAM management when you're running at 4K and high-res textures. You know, SteamOS, I think, is pretty mature as a desktop and OS and even a big screen OS, but I still think graphically there could be some improvements, and Valve is pretty fast to push out those updates. The whole exercise of building this hardware, I think Valve has achieved what they set out to do, making something small, compact, really quiet, low power consumption. But all of that is, and they'll say it as well, is to build out the ecosystem of SteamOS, to let more people build SteamOS machines, not just Radeon graphics machines, but Nvidia machines eventually, or Intel machines eventually. And Linux as a gaming operating system is way more viable today, and a lot of that is thanks to the compatibility layer work.
Yes! And someone like him said it changed everything, right? We have been seeing it for years, but...
that Valve and the Proton team has done.
How many subs does he have, this dude? Yeah, 7 million. It's fine. It would be fine.
So less about compatibility with games, especially new AAA games, except for the
you can have some ants in the B-roll. Would be fine.
A multiplayer game that needs easy cheat on the kernel level, and there are more options in SteamOS too. Bazite's a really popular option that has Nvidia graphics support, as well as better support for other game stores outside of Steam. And so if you want to experiment in Linux as a gaming OS, if you want to drop Windows as the chokehold for gaming, it's very easy to download a distro and dual boot into one of those just to try out and see what that performance is like. All that to say, it's hard to recommend this machine at this price for just purely on the performance level. There's a lot to
7 million sub, and I've never seen him before. Shit. Are you in the wrong channel, Tellurian? No, I don't think so.
Love about the ease of use and how great it works out of the box and the small form factor and things that you can't achieve if you're just building your own gaming PC. But everyone's going to have to decide for themselves whether those design flourishes and all that engineering work that Valve did is worth that extra price, because this is certainly much more expensive than what Valve had originally hoped that this would launch at. But that's the state of the world these days. If you have questions about Steam Machine, and we certainly are curious about Steam Frame and have yet to test that with this, let me know in the comments below.
Yeah. So... someone is going to make a screen display for the front, and it's going to be cool as fuck. It's a real shame that the ASLOP industry ruined what could have been a great price point for this device. I agree. Like, this is a fiasco because of this freaking AI, chat. Enfin, not the AI itself. Like, the freaking RAM related to the commercial AI. Let's be clear. When you are showing the power consumption during sleep and there is an ant walking in the background. Yeah, what is he saying about that? for scale. This guy is good, dude. He's good. Probably the biggest victim of Ramageddon through break for the GameCube. Yeah. Sad, chat. It's just sad, man. The beauty filter on the Valve Engineer video stream are killing me. What? They had a beauty filter? Man, I'm gonna copy this and send it to the dev channel and be like, what the heck? Okay. Yeah. Well, I think my conclusion is the same, dude. The only thing we learn is like Valve seems to be more pushing the NVK driver than the dude. Than the freaking proprietary driver, chat. I say freaking, I'm not putting word like that just for nothing. I'm really like surprised by that, dude. Really surprised. Okay, so here is my IG chat. So, guys, you know I'm super disappointed I couldn't put my hand on it, okay? Even if it's under, you know, even if it's under like spec compared to what I would like it to be, I still believe it kind of like serve a purpose, and the purpose is to have like I would say a machine which work out of the box, like you have nothing to do, right? You just plug it, you press the button, you have CC which is working properly, turn on your TV, like everything works without, you know, any issue, right? So I was thinking, what if I try to get my hand on it, right? Hey Vince, my man, how are you doing? Look at this, it's a old one too, with only 1 star. From the 2018 Cup. So listen to me, chat. Listen to me. Let's say I apply to the thing, right? And I try to get my hand on one. I would be cool, okay? So this will cost me... let me check the price. So Steam Store, Steam Machine. Wait, I don't think you can see here. Let me check. Okay, so let's see the pricing. So if I take the cheapest one right now, it's 1500 CAD, dude. So this is Canadian dollar, just in case you didn't know. So it's like 1500. And I have 512 gigabytes of NVMe. And if I take the controller, it's gonna be another like 120 on top. So I'm not really interested right now in the controller. So let's say we stay on this one here. All right. So 1500. Now here is my take. I didn't tell you, chat, but let me check like what this thing is saying first. Mm. What is this thing saying? Let me check that. Just doing some random things. Okay, so let's make the calculation, dude. So this is let's say we're gonna build our, right? So I have some part I could use, chat. And one of the part I have is like the two parts I have are the main part. So I own a 9070 XT, okay? I actually own this one. So this one I don't have to buy. I own G-Skill 64. I know, don't insult me. I bought it like 2 years ago almost. 644 CL32 Neo, I think. Oh, they don't even have it anymore. The heck? Ah! Yeah, it's there. So but this one is CL30. I don't have 30. I have 32, chat. 28. No. I think maybe you can't buy them anymore. Maybe, I don't know. So anyways, I have 64 gigabyte of RAM. Okay? Left. I don't know. I didn't feel like selling it. Even if I could make like some serious money there. Because I think I paid it like $300 or 250 max. And now they are worth like what? 1700, dude? Like, who is buying that, chat? Who is buying that? Anyways, so I have those parts, chat. So what do I need? I need a case. So I've seen this case there, chat. Design. Yeah, this one here. So this one is a little bit expensive. $260, chat. I'm sitting on 64 gigabyte GDDR4 RAM I got for 100 USD. Nyam. So 260. Maybe I can get it cheaper. Yeah, 260. Allez, even better. I want it graphite, yeah. Okay, so this 260. So 260 SFF PSU. So how much? No, I don't think I need these, dude. The heck? Plane going crazy? Yeah, I got some plane here sometime. Okay, so Roswell PSU. 850 watts. So I'm not sure I will ever use Roswell. Like, guys, do you have any experience with Roswell? Is it solid, chat? I don't know, bro. The heck? That's all they have? Oh, SFX. My bad, chat. That's why I was like, what the heck? I used to use it. It was alright. Okay, yeah, no. Zero experience. I'm scared, dude. Because like this is important. Okay, this is good. $200. Oof. So we're at $450 already. So $450. I think $750 is more than enough, chat. Whoa, Lion Lee? Bro, 189? Ooh. $1,200 we don't need this. So I won't lie to you, chat. I like to buy bigger PSU because those you keep them for, I wouldn't say life, but like 10 years easy, chat. So it's kind, I wouldn't say it's an investment, but about this 1600-watt Corsair, what I'm still using to this day like crazy. And it was like $400 at the time, and now I think they're like $1,000. So I'm like, yeah, you know, it was not that bad of a deal when you think about it. Did you already talk about the Steam machine from LGLC? Yeah, look at it. I don't like it, dude. I don't like it. I don't like it. So let's see if we can find some deal. Whoa. Lowest price, yeah. And then we're gonna go. I need, I think, at least 600 watt shot. Okay, here we go. 800 watt. Chat, look at this. Super flower. So this is insane. I love super flower, chat. Super flower, 850 watt, platinum. 169. Bam! Okay, so bigger PSU can be backup if you 5090 start to showing burning. What do you mean? Okay, super flower is good. So what are the review here? Guys seem upset. Wait. 3 out of 5 eggs. Platinum certified, and you're not happy, dude. Okay, this is a go for me, chat. Okay, so let's make a list together. Max machine. Okay, so 90, 70, XT. Okay, so price, okay, it's paid. We said RAM, so 64 gigabyte, GDDR5. Okay, PSU said 169.9. I'll put the link, chat. Old school. Damn. It's too small. That's what she said, chat. Okay. Case. Fractal. Say 259. Okay. Well, we don't care about the link. Okay, so this I like. Now the CPU, chat. CPU, this is why it's complicated, dude. So I found this one. So the idea in this type of like setup is like you want a CPU which is not going to suck too much energy, right? So this is what I like. So this one is at 269. But I found one on Amazon for 220, dude. They are doing those deals like until the end of today. Okay, so what do we need, dude? We need SFF CPU cooler, dude. Yeah. Price, lowest price, right? Eh ben, that's not good, dude. What? Small factor. Okay, so just go low profile. Okay. Lowest price. This is not low profile. IS40 low profile CPU cooler. IS. Oh, thermal right. I like thermal right, chat. Okay. Noctua, not bad, chat. Oof. So here, I don't know which is going to fit in the case. So this is where we go part picker, chat. So fractal design. So this is a Terra Mini, okay? And then you go on, look at build. Where's the build, chat? No, I want to see the build. Yes, see whole build. A peerless assassin? I have no idea what they are. So watch, this guy, he has the same CPU I would like to put in. So how can I navigate? So where is the fan? So I'm guessing the fan come from the other side. Is idling at 51 degrees? What the? Seems pretty warm to me, broski. Noctua NH12, 25 USD? What? Bro, I like this pricing, dude. What? So what is the name? NHL12S. Where is it? Brand. Yes. Noctua. Okay, Max. Don't be blind. Thank you. Boy, it's more like 70 bucks here. Why did he pay 25? So I like the concept of like pulling the air like that, chat. Why get low profile when you are using a full Z CPU? Maybe 25 when you build it. Oh, I thought the pricing they will be up to date. 150 USD? Like this guy is lying. I'm so confused. And he doesn't have a GPU? Wait. I hope that I found a CPU with integrated graphics since I don't really. However, they need a significant RAM for a decent. So the 9600X has a APU in it? Okay. Ah, Fractile Terra Silent Top Performance Setup. Voilà. 5K chat. 5K for this. What did he put inside? What the? How did he put 5K in this? Having a low TDP CPU was so crucial is answering the fab and never run too hard. Furthermore, those fans are proper Noctua, so it's really best in class for the task. Okay. Okay, so he has the graphic card I'm willing to put in this. So he went with the Thermalright AXP90. So I like Thermalright too, chat. So let's see Thermalright, what they have here. Thermal Tech. Oh, but not Thermalright. God. Thermalright. CPU. Here we go. So that's this one, chat. I think this is the one. AXP90X47. Yeah, that's the one, dude. Okay, so what type of temperature you got with this? I've been building, blah, blah, blah. Mine is on silent find curl, generally noticeable, and I don't use that phone. However, there is a laptop, blah, blah, blah. Okay. CPU temperature Walidol, 45. Hey! Tower case on the floor, gang, checking into the SFF build. Yes. You could get a 5080 on that. Yeah, I know. 1700 on 64 gigabyte of RAM. I know. So about it. I think I bought it for 300, dude. So it's still somewhere like here in my office. So okay, so I like this one. I want to see a review of this though. I want to see a review of that, chat. Are you? So why is it full copper? Man, like the one I checked was not full copper, dude. Installation. I guess they didn't reinvent the wheel since then. For less than $20? Like what the heck? I'm getting destroyed here, chat? Oh, aluminium versus copper. Here we go. So I guess there is different version, right? This is insane. I know, man. This is like... I don't even... I bought them because I thought it was a good deal at the time. And it was.
Yes, you are not reading it wrong. They are virtually identical to each other.
Okay.
I was very skeptical of this result initially, so I repasted and remounted the coolers and tested them again with the same result. Really, they are exactly the same. I didn't expect this result at all.
Yeah, Watari, this is exactly what I was saying.
Superior. Again, they are exactly identical. Neither aluminum nor copper version is superior against each other. The result is better than X47, however. That much is clear. I am really surprised that the copper version doesn't show any edge. I didn't expect this result
Okay, so
at
you
all.
have the X47
That much is clear.
and the
I am really surprised that the
X53.
copper version doesn't show any edge. I am still skeptical.
And he's running, dude, a 12 i5 12,600K.
There's no difference at all between aluminum and copper. I am a little
So
confused at
the X53 seems a little bit overkill anyways.
whatever
for
is cheaper.
For 65 watts, right? Okay. Okay, so this dude seems like he went with it too. Wire cooling, we know why. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what he has to say, this dude.
Version which can handle a bit more heat compared to the base model. The stock fan is replaced with the Noctua NFA9 for improved thermal and acoustic performance, and on top of that we have one of Noctua's foam ducts. These were originally designed for Noctua's own L9 low profile cooler, but I've designed some 3D printed pegs to retrofit them to the Thermalright cooler instead. The T1 case itself is set up in the 3-slot mode, which would put the fan right up against the side panel without the
Okay, let's see the temperature. I don't know what CPU he has, so we'll see.
Take a look at how the new air cooling setup compares to my old pneumatic tubing CPU custom loop. The test here is a 20-minute soak in Dogtown from the Phantom Liberty expansion for
Man. 79X3G, dude, 66 degree.
Cyberpunk 2077.
This is pretty
the
good,
tests
chat.
are not noise normalized,
This
but
is
rather
pretty good,
the
dude.
RPM ranges and speak for themselves. The
This is pretty good.
air cooling setup even further. And secondly, I wanted to try my hand at designing custom side
Okay, so I kind of like that, chat. I thought I've seen a video where they were like kind of like comparing everything. Yeah, this guy. Cyberpunk is not a good way, I agree. But still. I think it give kind of like a good idea of...
Now, let's get on to
of what gaming look
the
like.
worst installation is, because I'm calling you out, Cooler Master. Your installation processes are from like another era. It's
It's not
absolutely
a
terrible.
Okay, so no Cooler
To
Master chat.
a little backplate that Cooler Master gives you. That backplate, I don't even know where it is anymore.
Okay, so this is 65 watt. This is what we want to
200p
look at.
Are in a very, very different performance category.
So we are looking at, where is it? This one, orange one, chat. Are you ready?
Than higher and more expensive options like the Thermal Right and Cryo Rig. There
Oh,
are
la, la,
though,
la, la.
two nice surprises. First up is the T65 from Iceberg Thermal, which I think offers a really good balance of height, performance, and pricing. Then there's the IS40X V2, which ends up being pretty mind-blowing when you realize it costs a whole $20 less than the coolers it ends up competing against. But the IS47K, this thing's design ends up completely kneecapping it. And by this point already, you might be thinking that height might correlate to performance. But there's one thing that you haven't taken into account yet, and that is this little guy, the Noctua L9A. And where does this thing end up being in our charts? Well, it's not here, because you might think it would be. It's not there. This is actually where it lands. One of the slimmest coolers in this whole roundup ends up competing with some of the thickest ones. Now, if we zoom in on the 38 decibel range and add a stock AMD Wraith Stealth cooler, things become a bit clearer and it's easier to separate the men from the boys. A lot of these coolers actually struggle to beat a stock heatsink since they're designed for compactness rather than performance. But moving on to 95 watts, and it's a bit of a disaster top to bottom, with the IS30, T65, G200P, and IS47K all failing to get below our 90-degree
Oh,
threshold.
no.
Then there were a few, I guess you would call them minor successes, with the C7 and IS40X.
So yeah,
going
so you don't want
below
push
throttling
the
temperature,
CPU,
but
right?
at much higher noise levels. And the most impressive results were for, you guessed it, the Noctua and Thermal Right. I mean, I wouldn't really use either of them if you're going to be running a 95 watt or higher modern CPU at full load all the time. But
Okay,
it's
so
good
we
to
got it,
see
chat.
they
This is the
do
one we
have
need.
some headroom where the others simply don't. But I
Long
also
story short.
wanted heavy work.
Okay, so that's the one, chat. Not this one. This one here. And it seemed like well priced, no? It seemed like well priced. So wait, just to take the reference, because I'm gonna make a mistake there, I can tell. Reference. So AXP90. Alors AXP90, and we said it was, yeah, this one here, 99. Oh my gosh, this is expensive, dude. This is quite expensive. Maybe I can find a better price after, but okay. So what else do we need, chat? What else do we need? The case, the PSU, the GPU, the RAM, the CPU, the fan cooler. Oh yeah. NVMe drive. Okay, let's say we buy one. I think I have one left somewhere. So I don't think I need one. But let's say I need one. So NVMe drive. And the motherboard. Bro, the motherboard. Want the text size. Here we go. Sorry about this. No. So the cheapest in stock. Newegg. Voila, hop. Okay, so Patriot. How much do we have? 256 gigabytes. No. We need at least 512. So 512 here. Kingston. 500, okay. 159. So how much for 1 terabyte? 200, man. Both. Man, this is so bad, dude. Like, this is so bad, chat. It is freaking $250, chat. Man, this is so bad, dude. Well, let's say 250. But I think I have one. So, I think I have one, chat, somewhere. I need to find it. I have one sitting somewhere. A worst case scenario, you know what I do? I will just get, you know, like one of those SSD I have lying around, like the small one. Like I don't need space on this, because the way I'm gonna use it, worst case scenario, I'm gonna put the game on the network. I don't care. I don't need the NVMe drive. Like I don't need it. Just wondering if I can put like a normal SSD in this. Man, a 9800 X3D. Like what are you guys doing? Oh, this look good, chat. I like this. Is this big fan like that? Can he close it? He put this big fan. Wait. He put this big fan on the thermal right. Smart, chat. $22? Man, like, where are you living? Wow, chat. Look how good they look. So why do you put the SSD there, huh? I guess you don't, chat. You need a freaking NVMe drive. Okay, we'll figure it out. I regret, like in October, I bought some hardware. I regret not buying more, chat. I really regret, dude. I just did a 850 Steam Machine box on PC Part Picker. Paul Hardware has a video on it. $200 markup for build, support, and form factor. You have to imagine Valve get discount deals too. Yeah, fair. Maybe they mark up more, dude. Maybe you're right. I thought they would be more around like the 50, 100, but if they do 200, it kind of sucks. Okay, so let's look at the motherboard. So SFF motherboard AM5. So there is a really good deal right now. And we need to talk about it, chat. That's the one I found. Yeah, this deal. You can get a freaking ASRock B850, dude. Mini ITX for 200 Canadian, dude. It's like, what? $215. But there is a catch. It fries CPU, dude. This section is titled SFF PC Party. What do you mean? I should have bought a lot of RAM and sold it off today. So apparently this one fries CPU. But you know what? I'm not scared. Okay, so calc. Calc. I'm not scared, dude. You see, this is where you win. When everybody's scared, you are not scared. So 170 plus 259 plus 220 plus 99 plus 250 plus 215. Dude. Bro. It is just a little bit cheaper than the Steam machine, man. Jérôme, did you see the Steam machine from LDLC? Yeah, I've seen it. I'm not interested in it, dude. I look at it and was like, 1 terabyte used to be 50 to 80, I know. Just get the Steam machine. I think it is pretty insane, man. So if I remove the hard drive and I put mine somehow, I'm at $900. And I take the risk of having the CPU fry because of the motherboard, which apparently like fry CPU did. I don't think he's gonna fry it, but so I don't know, man. This is how I would go. Like today, if you ask me, this is what I would do. Did we forget some part? I don't think we did. We have the PSU, the motherboard, the CPU cooler, the case. I need a new OB at this point. Yeah, so this is a price without the RAM. If you had the RAM and you price this machine as it is right now, so the RAM is 1700 and the GPU is like at like 1000. Okay, let's put 1000. So this is a 3,700 Canadian dollar, dude. Build. Like, don't you think this is insane, Chad? Okay, let me just check something, Chad. Yeah. Yeah, so you can get it. They're having a good deal right now. It's 6K, chat. You can order it, boys. So just the graphic card now, it's 6K, man. So my graphic card and my RAM. So let's see, 64 gigabytes, CL26. Yeah. Oh man, this is so stupid, dude. CL28, or maybe no, it's CL26 I have, dude. So CL26, where is it? Maybe they don't have it anymore, I guess. Yeah, I guess they don't have it chat anymore. Like, who is buying that anyways? I guess this is like outrageous. What do I do? Should I put? No. Just kill. So this one is not the one. I don't know. No. Yeah, that's my RAM chat. Guys. Like, what the heck, man? Like what's happening, dude? So just with the RAM, and I was not wrong. You remember when we were having this discussion, and I said it's gonna be like a 15K, 20K to get to get your PC. This is the world we are living in, chat. Like, this was costing, guys, this was costing $500. I'm not even kidding. $500 or $600. I don't even remember. Like, and now it's like two grand and a half. Well, and 3 grand if you want the gold version. But like, it just depends. Oh no, it's Newegg. Okay. So this guy is just underselling. Like, we don't know this guy. This guy might be like, this guy might be scamming you, okay? You want it from Newegg, right? That's the real price. 3,300, dude. Did we talk about Apple price increases? Top MacBook is 10K US? No. I thought the average price increase was $300. Apple MacBook. So, Book Pro. Okay, can wait. I want to see if I can buy one. Oh, dude, a MacBook M5, not even the Pro, is like 2,800. If you want to get the Pro, it's 3,500, and I didn't even touch the RAM. I didn't even touch the RAM, chat. Chat. Oh. It is insanity, dude. $3,900. 3,500. For the Pro. Eh ben. So they added, like, I thought it was 300 increase, but it's more like $1,000 increase, chat. Holy cow, chat. So I just show you, dude. So this is a 14-inch. It's 2,800 for the normal one. And if you want to go with a Pro chip, which is what you're gonna get anyways, it is 3,500, chat. Price out a big boy and show chat the horror. Yeah, if you go 16-inch, it's $4,000. Anyways, I don't know, dude. Because here is my take. I have those two things lying around, so I'm like, what do I do? But at this point, I'm maybe better selling it. I sell the RAM and I have the full Steam machine, chat. Just a couple days ago, people were still talking about buying 64GB RAM M5 for 3K things. Change so quick, yeah. Yes! Boo! Don't touch things, will go up. Not the way I said it. So I don't even know what to say, chat. I don't know. I think it could be something fun we could do. Save the RAM and GPU so I can build a PC to Air Mama. Yeah, Air Mama, she doesn't care. She doesn't really care. And I kept the GPU, I'm going to keep it because I still want to make some tests with it. But I don't want to move my 1590 from my PC. I don't want it to move anymore. You got that 1590 for a steal? Yeah. Yep. That was a really good move. Everybody was making fun of me because they were like, oh, you got a deal on the 1590. Oh, you got a deal. But at the end, I got a freaking deal, dude. I got a freaking deal. I got a freaking deal, chat. Yeah, so real pricing is 900. I think I can source a drive. I think I can source a drive, chat. Like, I don't need a good drive. I don't need an NVMe drive. Like, I don't need it. I just need, you know, like a normal drive. Yeah, you see this guy? Oh, this is a build I want to make. Okay, this guy is the one. You see? 850 Lightning. That's the one. What did he have there? 850 Lion Lee. So no, I went with the cheapest one, like a flower or whatever. But I didn't buy anything yet. Nice. Oof. Man, I'm not sure I like the fan under like that, dude. Because the air... So my guess is like, he's sucking the air, I guess. I like it the other way. I like it to push the air. But it's gonna push warm air there, huh? I think you should keep every piece of hardware you have. If your RAM ever goes bad, you have some RAM backup. Yeah. I still don't think it was worth the upgrade. Is it going to be an ITX build? Yeah, it's going to be exactly like that. So I had to use Facebook's Market for a lot cheaper RAM and both the NVMe. I would recommend using Facebook Market. Pretty straightforward build. I would have been better if I had a custom cable length, but I made it work. No problem with theme. The spacing between GPU and CPU cooler felt well. No fan eating the case. So what did he get? So that's the one I've seen. Like this one is 215 right now. Oh man. Best cooler you can put in the Terra. Like how is it the best? I don't understand. So let me do a research on that, chat. But it seems to move a lot of air though. Okay, so I think this... Ah, ben voilà! Chat! Eh ben voilà! So you did that, you have backup hardware? It is crazy, man. So it's kind of right, because, you know, if something happened, like, God forbid, at least I have some backup, right?
With no included case fans and space for just one 120mm fan at the bottom.
Okay,
CPU coolers you can buy at only 37mm tall, meaning that it has a compatibility rating of 100 page beforehand.
Okay.
Maybe able to get some decent temps in this case. S on its own. The Noctua NH-L12S with an additional slim fan acting as exhaust.
Ooh.
And that same last configuration, but just by adding the foam duct, which only cost about temperatures even further down to 81.8 degrees, so if you have the choice, definitely get the L12S. Adding the additional exhaust fan does help, bringing temps down by another 1.8 degrees. So if noise and you want time.
Yeah, but
if
it
you've already
doesn't
bought,
compare
in my
to the other
opinion,
one.
Do not get the L9. If you have a mid-range processor or better, you will thermal throttle and you're gonna have a bad time. But if you've already bought one, pick up the foam kit and it's a really cheap way to improve your temperatures, but it does make it louder. The L12S is definitely the one to get. It performs better, it's quieter, and it's actually not that much more expensive than the L9. In my case, I have the adjustable spine set to position 2, which gives me 48mm of GPU clearance. So check your graphics card dimensions.
That's my graphic card, dude.
Before you buy this. Getting an extra fan as exhaust does help, but not all that much. If you're going to do this, you need to pick up a slim fan and a fan guard. Not only will your fan not fit, but your cables will stick into the fan blades and it won't spin. The fan guards are super cheap and you can pick them up for next to nothing. So there you go.
Okay, so maybe this is a one, chat. Maybe this is a one. Okay, or Noctua 12 LS. By the same price, it's like $100.
Links in the description if you want to pick it.
So I think
this cooler is
this could be a really good like machine for testing full AMG, like when we
probably
want.
there's 2 additional heat. Actually, 17mm with the bumpers. Cooler. With a sandwich style case, this airflow dynamic is unconventional, and for the 7mm.
So I was planning to get the steam machine, chat. Okay, I was planning to get it. So I'm thinking this could be our own experience, right?
On the
I don't know. I'm
that's
just
give you a bit more
you know,
flexibility
exchanging with you.
Another advantage here of the higher clearance, though, is additional airflow underneath the heatsink, as well as closer positioning relative to the side panel. So not only is there more space underneath for better airflow, it's also closer to the outer panel, and that's going to draw air more directly from the outside. If you happen to be in configuration number 1 anyway, which is for a 2-slot card in the Terra, the regular L12S will have less airflow underneath the heatsink and the fan, and it will also leave a small air gap between the heatsink and the side panel. So that's not as good as this one, whereas the L12S by 77 will close that gap, and you're basically intaking from the side panel, or I guess the outside air, more directly. With fan on top coolers, in this case, you do have to be very careful being right up against the side panel. And in my initial review of this case, I noted that when you have a fan close to the side panel, you're going to get turbulent noise. But with the L12S, because the fan is underneath, and I'll demonstrate this later, it's not at all a concern. Being able to run this cooler in the Terra will require a 43mm or thinner card that's also narrower than 131mm. That's what allows 43mm of thickness. But in the build I did recently, this was with a Founders Edition 4070, which is perfect. And so if you're using something like this, 4060 Ti, 4070 Super Founders Edition, this cooler is ideal. But if your card is thicker, then you won't have this as a choice here. So first off, I did want to compare against the...
So I think the 9070 XT is not fixed.
Speeds compared to the L12S, the addition of 2 heat pipes and the additional clearance does result in a significant improvement over the regular L12S. So much so that it even beats out the regular L12S in the fan on top or high profile.
So you need 7700
due to just how efficient it runs and how easy
let's
it is
see how
to
much
cool
it costs.
the low profile cooler that you are pretty much mandated to in this case. Noise normalized testing here. CPU is drawing around 75 watts here, up against the stock ID Cooling IS67 XT, which is also a 6 heat pipe cooler. Sits a little bit lower, but it does put up a very favorable
it's super,
result,
chat.
and that's a 26 megahertz
even better.
benefit over that cooler. Of course, with the IS67 XT, you could ostensibly go out
$89
and
bucks.
get the same stock Noctua fan, the NFA 12x15. So let's just test that out as well. And in fact, that doesn't improve things too much here because the stock ID cooling fan, it matches up quite well with this cooler and it works quite well. So one other thing you can do with this lower IS67 is throw on a 25mm fan, because when you take this heatsink and throw on a 10mm thicker fan, you get to basically 77mm. But I will absolutely caution against this for the reason 77 by a tad, but they basically performed about the same for practical decibels between.
Okay.
So when I saw this cooler, at first the gears started turning in my head because I knew what the extra 5mm meant. You can, RAM depending, run an NFA 12x25 underneath this heatsink. And the reason why this is helpful is because underneath the heatsink, it doesn't really matter what you... Where it's obstructed. So when I saw this cooler, at first the gears started turning in my head because I knew what the extra 5mm meant. You can, RAM depending, run an NFA 12x25 underneath this heatsink. And the reason why this is helpful is because underneath the heatsink, it doesn't really matter what you put underneath it as opposed to, you know, adding thickness on top, because the heatsink has already broken up the air, and therefore you're less likely to have turbulence-induced noise like you just heard with the IS67 fan.
This is smart,
side panel. The clips that Noctua supplies, these will work with a 25mm fan as well. And that's
it makes
cool
sense.
because you don't have to switch. Fan clips are good, new set. They'll work just fine. Based on the RAM kit I have here, which is Kingston's Fury DDR5, 35mm is the maximum height of your RAM for this type of configuration. And this
that's going to be the
RAM kit
problem,
happens to be
chat.
that tall. It barely clears the fan with all the vibration dampeners removed. The fan clip does touch a little bit, but it's absolutely fine. Two things you'll notice if you deploy it this way is the alignment to the mounting hardware. It's a little bit trickier because you don't have the line of sight that you might with the NFA 12x15, but with the Terra, you can kind of look through the bottom. So if you just line it up and eyeball it that way, you'll be absolutely fine. that is actually worse than the L12S by 77 with the stock fan, but it's important to note that it's a decibel quieter and with the advantage of having a much less offensive noise quality. And the slim fan tends to be more non-X Ryzen and non-K Intel SKUs are great. Ryzen's exactly that much clearance and no more. In cases like the M1 Evo, where you have more clearance than that, don't do this.
So you see the way he set it up. He set it up to suck the air from outside.
Set of sound samples here. This set is really just to demonstrate that the cooler doesn't cause turbulent noises with the Terra's side panels.
No, it's a lot of noise, no? Holy cow, dude. It's a lot of noise, no, chat?
Because personally, I would switch to the NFA 12 by 25 just for the sake of noise, but you have to run the numbers right. So this cooler comes in at $75 US, which is $10 more than the regular L12S. So if you slap on the NFA 12 by 25, you're now around $105, which that's a lot of money for a low-profile cooling combo. And of course, you do have a spare NFA 12 by 15, right? But either way, it's not cheap, and the IS67XT that I showed you in this build originally, that's around $35 US, so it's a much better fit for a mid-range build. And the performance is perfectly adequate with the 7800 XT, so this is a great cooler. If you want a little bit better performance, or you happen to be limited to position number 2 in the Terra and you can't get the L12S by 77, then the regular L12S will make a lot of sense as well. But if the stars align, meaning that you can run position number 1 in this case, you can get a bit more RAM and board clearance flexibility with the stock L12S by 77 because it's an absolute solid cooler. And for the ultimate high-end Terra build, the souped-up config like I did here, I think this has just what you need to tie it all up, and this is going to be as much cooling as you can get in this case. So I've tried to cover everything that you might want to know about this, but if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. And please also help the channel out by using the links down below. Also, please give a like, make sure you are subscribed.
Okay. That was a good video, chat. Alright, I think I'm out. We covered everything, so I don't know. I'm still debating. I'm gonna have to take a decision because, like most of those deals, they're gonna be gone tonight. Especially the one on Amazon. There is some type of Amazon Prime Day right now. So I'm like, you know, maybe. I think it could be a good little like AMD machine to test what's happening, but I've been like thinking a lot about making video those days, and I didn't have really the time to do any of them, so I'm like, I'm gonna pour like this amount of cash in it. I don't know. I'm not sure, chat. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's it. That's all for today. I think we covered everything, chat. Do you have any question? Have a good weekend, everyone. See you in Discord. Yes. See you in Discord. Okay, so no question. Man. This is rough out there for the hardware. Oof. This is really, really rough. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. I am out. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself, and we'll be back the next one. Okay, chat? Thanks again for watching. Thanks for everything. Bisous, bisous.